Are we ready? All right. So, thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate it. Again, keep your phones on silent. If you need to take a call or make a text, please just step outside. You can come back anytime you want. So the workshop today is to discuss the reinstatement of the Odem Police Department. Again, to reinstate to consider the reinstatement of the Odem Police Department. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Councilman Dominguez, I'm going to go ahead and let you go ahead and you want to make an opening statement, or anybody want to make an opening statement?
No,
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, so we presented to the council a couple of numbers. The first 2 pages were put together by our financial manager, Betsy Soto, and you can kind of go to page 2. The total expense for what we're considering the 2 officers and 1 chief, that would be on line 2. It's a $320,972.67. The numbers on the first line are numbers that she took off from a kind of an average from 2020 to 2023. Those were numbers that were taken from our financial system in code as part of this report. And so those numbers are pretty much kind of an average over those 3 years. Then if you go to page 3, it's a 1-page Odem Police Department budget. This was put together by our previous city administrator, Mrs. Martinez, in September of 23, when we were looking at when we cut the police department, and we were considering, maybe we could hire a couple more people. So if you look up on the top, annual budget would be for police chief and 2 officers. We're looking at somewhere about $232,994, and then annual budget number 2, which would be a police chief plus 3 officers, was $300,474.78. There's some numbers at the very bottom. They kind of, I don't know them before they put what's on top, but they're pretty close. This was done by the previous city administrator and the previous bookkeeper helped out. So the numbers that Ms. Betsy presented on page 1 and 2 are pretty close to what was kind of put together in September of 2023. Now, are there things that we could maybe look at cutting? Potentially, we could to lower the number. Are we going to lower it enough? That's going to be, something that the council would have to decide. So I'm going to go ahead and just open it up for discussion.
This does not include cost of living raise, does it?
No, the first 2 pages that Ms. Betsy put together, that's just based on what was done. I asked Ms. Betsy to kind of look at our history and then kind of compare to look at other type A general wall cities around the state, what they're paying. Look at some of the police departments here locally, what they pay, and these are just straight up numbers. If we move forward with this, these are the kind of numbers that we would have to budget into just to get started.
The first page is just an estimate, right? Because that's not what was being paid.
What do you mean?
The very first page right here,
Uh-huh.
where it says Officer 55, Officer 255, and then the total of 73,594. Then the chief 65, and then with all benefits 84,000. That's not what they were getting. This is more.
This-
The other page is more
Right.
realistic.
The numbers that are here, as I stated, are based on looking into other cities similar to ours.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying.
And the general, what the police departments in our general area, with cities like Aransas Pass, Ingleside, and so forth, what they're paying their officers. So we kind of took kind of a median of what they pay and what other cities our size pay.
Did
to
you
try to
provide,
maintain.
did you provide what the other states?
No, so we just put the numbers
Because I-
together.
I met with the police chief from
Morning.
Robstown, and I really asked him, what's your average pay on a police officer? And he said, I told him, I want to know everything, all in, retirement and health insurance and all that. And he said no more than 55,000, that's the average.
All in?
All in, I said, are you sure? He said, yeah. He said, well, they're proposing 75, 73 or something like that. I said 75. He said, no, that's a lot of money for an officer.
Well, you also have to consider turnover.
Well, we never had a turnover.
If you look at the departments around the area that are paying 35,000, 40,000, their turnover is very high. And since you brought up the city of Robstown, right now they're shorthanded. They can't hire enough officers. And a lot of it has to do with their pay. They can go somewhere else and make a little bit more money. So,
Then right now, you are still paying for janitorial services.
right now we pay janitorial services, but it's all included in with the cities. And they're only done, you said that once a month or once a week? So it's only once a week. So janitorial services can go up if the building starts to get used for, obviously. We cut them down just because the building really wasn't being used.
But right now, you're still paying for janitorial services, you're still paying for insurance for the building, that remains the same.
I think there was an increase a little bit, right, on the insurance on the vehicles and the property.
But if we won't get the PD, then obviously we still have to pay that. Even though EMS is the only people utilizing that tool.
Right.
We're still gonna have to.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we still have to pay the windstorm,
Right.
it's all included in the buildings.
Exactly,
So
so,
the coordinator also.
Yeah.
now the mobile phones here, I don't know where y'all got 7,245, is that
Right here.
on the third page?
Um,
Yeah, I don't know. 7,245 seems kind of high for,
Again, these were numbers that were provided in 23 to by the previous city administrator and bookkeeper. Those are numbers that they took out of the
yeah.
So again, I mean, these are not numbers that we just kind of randomly brought out. These were numbers that based on their previous budget. And it was
Well, there's a
taken off of-
difference between a budget and what you.
Well, I'm
spend.
sorry, not budgets, expenses, annual expenses, based on annual expenses from 2020 to, at the time, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
This is the one that the previous city administrator put together.
How many, do you know how many police officers we had during this time?
I'm sorry,
How many police officers we had during
in
this? time?
22, September 23, we had already, we only had the police chief. The budget was already put in place and approved, and that was when we resolved or basically just let go of the police officers that we had on staff and let the police chief. The budget that the council approved, just with the police chief alone, was $150,000 to pay his salary plus the other operating expenses. That was just one person.
But he never got paid $150,000. That was budgeted, but he never got paid it.
Oh, no, because he left. I mean,
Right,
because
yeah,
he left.
that's what I'm
So,
saying, so-
what I'm saying is
Yeah.
that we're gonna budget for a new department. I mean, we have to really kind of look at it realistically. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a projection, you know, but we have to look at where we were. I mean, if you go to all the way to the last 2 pages, where there's the little squares, these right here. Mr. Dahman, you want one of these, then you can grab one. This is another thing that was put together by the previous city administrator, before, she retired. This is the budgets, what was budgeted, what was spent, starting in October 1st, 2018. That was the first fiscal year. If you go through each square, it's fiscal year 2018, fiscal year 2019, fiscal year 2020, again 21, and then fiscal year 2022. And these again were numbers that came out of our financial system that were put together by Ms. Martinez and Ms. Gonzalez. These were actually put together as we were discussing the budget. I think we presented these to the council at that time. If you look at the first fiscal year, the budget alone was $500,000, and they were over $184,000.
So where's to get the extra money from?
Well, the city has to cover any, obviously,
So that's where they start cashing out CDs?
2018, 2019. When you go to fiscal year 2019, there's a debt, negative 365,000. Fiscal year 2020, 193,000. 21, 357,000. And I want to add, I mean, I can't remember, I mean, and I wasn't in office at the time, but I can't remember at any point during these few years that the police department was ever fully staffed. The year when I came in 2023, fiscal year 2022, I was elected in May of 2023. For that budget, they were already had a deficit, and the council approved another police officer, another position. But the city was already struggling financially, because according to and I'm going to go back to the previous city administrator, she said she was very adamant that she had told the council at the time that it was not sustainable, that we could not continue going the way we were going, but that she was ignored, and it continued to move forward. The budget, if you look on the last page, October 1st, 2022, that fiscal year 2022, the budget that was approved by the council was $691,000. Expenditures were 454, and we didn't have a full police department.
My question is, Becky, you were the city secretary there, weren't you? Those days? Where did you get the extra money? Where did y'all get the extra money? When it first started, when were you the secretary?
Back in 2018, 19.
So where did they get the extra $200,000 for the budget?
Good question. I don't have any documents here, so I'm sorry, I couldn't tell you where it all came from. We just,
I'm just, like I said, I wasn't council of that. I think you was the biggest, you and I were not in council. those 4 years, so I don't know, the budget's right there. And that money had to come from somewhere.
Well, I know that there were, during that time that I was in there, I would go down and get money, weekly from the Isabel, that was from impound, and we would bring that in and we used that as, went into the general fund to help pay stuff. Then I don't know what, Francis Bank, because I couldn't get, that did not share that information. I don't know what was in their account.
In 2019, it's almost $350,000. We didn't get that much.
Well, I can
It
add,
would be anywhere from 2,500 a week, it would be anywhere from 2,500 to 30,000.
so let me,
Depending on what impound was sold.
I didn't.
let me add on that Ms. Becky brought up, taking money from the impound, and put it into the general fund. Looking back to our finances, all the way to 2019, there was, around $2 million from reserves, and I think this has already been discussed, previously. There was about $2 million that were taken out of our reserve CDs basically, and put into the general fund. In addition to that, there was a little over $2 million taken out of the impound as well as municipal court, and also put into the general fund. So you're looking at $4 million. But when I came into office, the city was almost bankrupt. And Councilman Garza, in a discussion that she and I had, advised me that at one point when she was mayor, there was only $10,000 in the bank. They couldn't even make payroll. That's why they had to cash out a CD and put it into the general fund to be able to make payroll. And I can tell you just from my own experience, when I came in, there was a little over $30,000 in the bank. The tax dollars that we were collecting were already pretty much used because we were in the last part of the fiscal year. So the only revenue that we were bringing in were sales tax and the water utility bills. And that only amounted to about 250 to 280, kind of depended, it was fluctuated monthly. But our expenses at the time were almost $400,000, around that. So there was $4 million that were moved around to try to keep the city afloat. And I don't blame them. I mean,
What year was that?
from 2019 to 2023, there was a little over $2 million transferred into general fund.
But again, we're not here for all that.
Well, we're just trying
I
to
mean,
see
the
how we're gonna budget.
gone, police department's gone, that's irrelevant. We're here for a workshop for the proposed, police department that's coming in. And
But isn't it
stick to that,
relevant?
and we just stick to that.
Yeah, but I think it's relevant
It's
because we gotta
relevant.
make sure that we don't put ourselves in the
No,
same.
because your numbers are inflated. The numbers here are very inflated, and everything that is being shown here is why not to have a police department. So let's talk about, in the past, since we have a new judge, we brought in $129,000 in fines. Where's that money? Where'd that money go? We're collecting, police department's been gone for a couple of years. Where's that money at? $129,000 that we
It's
have collected.
still sitting in the municipal court,
And the fines and all that, okay, well, we got the money.
all sitting in.
Okay, and it's still bringing in money. Let's talk about that money.
Okay,
Everything I hear about the old police department's gone, we're not talking about
so then,
paying the guys 55,000 or the chief 60, at least I'm not. I don't know if anybody else is, but I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at maybe, and you know what, it's 3 officers here. Maybe you don't go with 3, maybe you go with 2. Maybe you go with 2, or maybe you start out with 1 and try it out and see what happens. But the thing here is, I'd like to bring in additional security for our citizens. And whatever it helps in, if it might just be one person, that I promise you, if you go out and you talk to the citizens, the police department had some good. It wasn't all bad. They had some good, and that's what I'm trying to do, or we're trying to do, is bring something back, and maybe not at the same level. I mean, you've got a lot of, I talked to a lot of officers that would like to work part-time for the city of Odem. They have regular jobs right now. You know, they could cover maybe a shift or maybe you get police chief, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but
That's the answer, you don't know.
I do know one thing, I know one thing is that, if today I was hoping to accomplish it, we go forward with it, or we don't go forward with it. And if we're not gonna go forward with it, what are we gonna do with the buildings? All the assets that we have, we've been sitting on them already for 3 years. If the police department's gone, then it's gone, but what are we gonna do with the buildings? Let's move forward. And if you think that, and I keep hearing this, you know, we're gonna get a group together, we're gonna get a team together to talk about what we're gonna do when the bypass is gone. When the bypass is gone, if we haven't done something now, it's not gonna happen then. Why would it happen then? We struggle just bringing a new business into Odem. We struggle. Nobody, why would we even come to Odem? We're struggling. We're struggling. All the new businesses are going to city, tab. Why is Odem struggling? Why can't we bring a new business into the city? We don't get them now, we're not gonna get them back then. And I see money coming in from the police department, that they've been gone already 2 years, 2.5 years, and we're still bringing them money.
So let me tell you what that money is being, basically, we're not using those funds because we don't know the exact amount. Part of those citation funds have to go to security and, I can't remember all the right offhand. There are, some of those funds have to be used for IT, security, for juvenile, again, I don't remember all the wording, but we don't know how much should be there to cover all that because all the money was being taken out. Nothing was being put away the way it should have. It wasn't divided the way it should have. So all the funds at one point were being taken out. So we don't even know what the total amount is that should be there just to cover, the security and, I don't know, you might know what the 3 different things.
We've already paid the state, haven't we?
Oh, that's the state, but there should be money put aside, for,
The monies is still there though.
Yes.
129,000 was brought in. I asked the judge to send me, she's running behind because she got flooded at her court in Lorenzo. But she said 129,000 and Odem has that money regardless of where it goes. It is supposed to go to technology fund, narcotics fund, all that stuff. So it's still distributed, but the majority of the monies is supposed to go to the general fund.
no, that's not true. That's not true.
Oh,
You can talk to
sure.
Epi, you can talk to Epi, and I know that you talked to the CPA, but the CPA is not a lawyer. The municipal court funds are very specific. You can use them to pay, and I think I forwarded the email from Bill Longley from the TML for road and bridge repairs and maintenance, and to enforce whatever the laws, the laws that we have in place for, traffic laws. So we could say, yes, we could say, okay, well, the money from the municipal court, we're gonna use to pay our police officers. But it's not, they're not gonna give out as many tickets to pay their salary. So the city's still gonna be there to cover. I mean, my only concern, and I'm not gonna, I know Councilman Dominguez, you feel like I've inflated these numbers. These were numbers that Ms. Betsy put out.
No, I'm
on
not
her
saying
own.
you inflated them. I'm saying they're inflated. Well, it's not a question, they're inflated. That's not what we talked about. I didn't talk, at least I didn't.
Well, we
You're
have
gonna
to
bring in an officer at $55,000? That's pretty high.
well,
And a
that's,
chief at 65? And like I said,
the previous chief was making 70.
I don't care about the previous chief.
No, it was making.
I don't.
No,
We need to care about the previous ones though.
But it's irrelevant. I don't
That's
know
making
about the
50,
people.
he was making 53,000 and 7,500 was paid because he was an inspector on all these new houses.
But we
So
know
That's
that,
what he was getting paid,
Okay, so there was-
53,000.
Okay, you say, that's not the number that I have. I don't have that with me right now.
And Isaac, you say it's hard to bring in new businesses and stuff like that. What about the traffic that got deterred because of the harassment that was going on from the police department?
We were
Yeah, I
harassed
mean,
by
there was-
Billy's police
There
department.
was, all your local restaurants, all the people that were stopping and putting gas here before, stopping and eating, stopping and putting gas and stuff, at all the local restaurants. You talk about the bypass, everybody was bypassing Odem.
yeah.
The traffic went down.
And I'm not saying that it was all good. I've already admitted it.
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
already admitted
Yeah.
it. But what I'm saying is that why beat a dead horse, it's gone, police department's gone and it's gone for some
Yeah.
reason.
Let's go.
And all I wanna do is bring
And
something,
the only ones that were being deterred was the people that were hauling stuff to Mexico. Those were the only ones that
No.
were
well,
going around.
No, sir.
well,
Yes.
and again, it's just,
Well, let's
All
go,
I'm
let's go
trying-
back, let's
all
go
I'm
back.
trying to do is bring something
Let's go back to
smaller.
what Council Dominguez is talking about, Council, about the municipal court. So if we're gonna start impounding vehicles again, if we're gonna start, if the goal is to start passing citations and stuff like that, we're gonna need a clerk. So there's no clerk even in this budget, because the clerk's gonna have to manage the impound. The clerk's gonna have to handle the citations. She has to process the citations and then hand them over to the court. So you're still gonna have to hire a clerk to take care of the office. Again, that's another at least $15 an hour, because that's our new starting pay. The clerk will probably have to be, like the previous clerk, to be licensed or certified her to be a dispatch. So she's going to training to get her certification as a dispatch. So she will be not only our clerk, but she'll also be our dispatch during the day when we have officers on duty. So, I mean,
The only reason the budget is the way it is because your recommendation and Paul Bain's recommendation was because of lack of time for us to approve the current budget, which all it was copied from the previous year. And we could amend the budget at any time. But we wanted to add several things in there, but it was your recommendation that we would approve the budget because we were time sensitive. That's the only reason why it's not in the budget. But I was hoping to look at the budget and see where we could actually reduce. And if you can reduce, then let's reduce. And if we can't, then it goes away. But
Do we have 6 months of operating expense?
I mean, if the,
Do we? Yes or no?
no, not if the city was to shut down. I mean, if we had a,
Isn't that the kind of like the law, or not law, something that city got operating 6 months?
well, it's kind of a standard.
And I was gonna say,
We have at least 6 months of operating.
we don't even have that, do we?
In case there's like a hurricane or something like that. But no, I mean, at this point,
As far as staff, I think, we're already staffed at City Hall. We've never had, how many people, you have how many? There's 6 people in there? We've never had that many people. The most we've had at City Hall is three people, maybe Becky could say maybe 4. Some of them are 2 hats, which is, I know you wanted to cross-train and it's very important to do that. I think one of them right now is a court clerk. So,
but she helps with the court.
Right.
She's a city clerk, so.
but, I mean, as far as, already staffed over there, we can always put someone, to help out.
Well, that's what we'd have to do, but I'm just saying that as the police department moves forward, we would have to consider adding that position somewhere, which again, that's not in the numbers that were provided by this guy. So,
Another thing I want to clarify, when you keep on mentioning all the CDs that were cashed in and all that, we've already brought that when you came into office, where you were gonna call the Texas Rangers and do an investigation. And we know why the CDs were cashed. I mean, there was a guy at the wastewater treatment plant, took advantage of almost $1 million. Another company took advantage of $425,000. So that's when the CDs were being, I was not in office, but that's when I came in, I told you, we discussed it and we both found that, yeah, there was a discrepancy there. But I was hoping you would go.
and it's still, so we're still looking into that. We've
Yeah.
turned in paperwork to
I hope you do.
the district attorney. They're still reviewing that as well. But there were CDs cashed out as far back as 2019. And I'm not saying that what was done was wrong, because looking back at the city's finances, even when the council was when I first came in 2023, the city's struggling, I mean, financially, and it had to be done to pay the bills. I mean, I probably would have done the same thing, but the difference is that it never came before council and the agenda or the budget was never, amended to add those funds because even our CPA at the time had issues with some of the numbers. But I'm not saying that what was done illegally. I don't know that. I'm not investigating. I know that the city was struggling. I do say what is the number that we're looking at, Councilman Dominguez? I mean, as far as, what is it that, where do you want to do what number?
I mean, even if I already said it in the last meeting, I said between 150 to 200,000, no more. And
If it does start going over,
I was putting a little bit of cushion on that. And if we can't do a three-person police team, then maybe we just do a two-man. I think, I can't remember what city it was, but they started off with just a police chief. And then after that, then they added one. And then, and I think that's as far as it went, but maybe the number's not two, maybe the number's not three. But I'm looking at about 150 to 200,000.
What are you looking at, Dave, for like a police chief?
I'm looking at probably 60 to 65. Police officer between 42 and 45. And that's it.
You hired a,
Who was the officer?
Between 42 and 45. And again, if we get somebody that is maybe a new candidate that's just gone to the police academy, and maybe it's something that person would like to try, or maybe we have other officers in other cities that work for a police department that might want to come part-time, or maybe there's retired officers that are given retirement only for extra money. And if we put it out there and nobody ever applies, then it is what it is. But I don't think we should just, because, and again, it's not, I would love to have the police department back in over. If it doesn't meet, it doesn't meet. But what are we gonna do with the buildings, all the assets? Let's move on, let's move forward. Maybe make it a big community center for the elderly.
That's really a good idea.
I don't know, but.
right now you're paying, you hired a code enforcement officer, but he's not a code enforcement yet as far as, well, he can't give citations. You're paying him $12,000 a year. So if you were to do away with him, and a police officer can serve as an enforcement officer where he can give citations after so many warnings or whatever. An officer also can serve in the criminal side. So $12,000 right there could be.
Oh, I'm not saying that there aren't benefits to having our own police force. I'm just trying to weigh that expense versus what we have that we need to take care of right now. Right now, I have two, is it 2 or 3 maintenance guys out right now? 3?
Yeah.
So we have 3 maintenance guys out right now. They're working overtime to try to winterize everything. They're out at the sewer plant trying to, shut down some of the pumps out there so we don't lose them like we did the last freeze. They're trying to insulate the pipes so there are things right now that we're trying, we went and got a generator. We're renting a generator right now that, we're, in case the power goes out and we're out for any extended period of time, we can keep the water flowing. So there are some, to me, I'm trying to just kind of weigh the benefits, with that expense versus what we have that really, really, to me, needs to be a priority. And if everything in the city was fine, our sewer lines weren't breaking, right now, I think they're working on a water leak as well. So they're out working on a water leak on a Saturday, 40-degree weather, and
When you're talking about situations that every city has.
You were gonna have
Well,
that
everybody
regardless
has
if the PD was here or not.
exactly, but
Everybody has
right
the
now
same
we have the money right now to pay for that stuff. We didn't before.
But right now you have,
So,
and you still have the municipal court bringing in money right now.
Yep.
That are past tickets. They brought in 129,000 what's gonna happen when they run out of tickets? All those people that did not pay the tickets is what I'm talking about. The judge is here, she can talk a little bit more about it. I think it was 400 and something tickets that were collected.
So,
So what's gonna happen, once all those people are cleared out, or if the judge comes back to city council and says, look, we've got 200 cases that we cannot get a hold of, council, you need to decide, just waive those fees and that's it. So what's gonna happen, all those tickets are gonna fade away. We're not even gonna need the judge anymore, we're not gonna need the court enforcer anymore, I mean, judge, anybody.
How many cases did y'all close out, that were old? Going back to 2019, 2018?
We're still working on them. They were from 2004. We went back, for 6 years. So, we're still working on them.
So, are you saying 500, over 1,000?
I'm gonna say about, 500.
Over 500 or around
Yes.
500? So, all the way to, what was the oldest citation?
2004.
Do you know why those tickets were still outstanding, why they weren't taken care of?
They are, we call them cold cases. These are cases that are, you have a lot of traffic that goes through, and I believe these are cases that we're hauling cars that are probably from Mexico, where there's no driver's license, there's no good locate. The court doesn't have any resources, so we depend on Line Partner. They're the ones that have the resources. So once they, cannot come up, if at the time when they're stopped and they're not providing, I believe that's why the cars were confiscated, because they didn't have any insurance, or they didn't have driver's license. Once they don't have any locate information, it's very hard to drive them.
So how many citations right now do y'all have? So you're looking at closing out about 500 or over 500 tickets, right?
Yes,
Okay, because they're all the way back to 2024.
yes.
Um,
But it doesn't mean, the cases that already have judgments, we can't close those. But the cases that are still outstanding.
How long will you continue to work on those that have judgments and try to collect?
I mean, those are open cases. They have to stay open. It's indefinitely unless legislation decides to give us the green light to go ahead and go away with them. But those cases have to remain open until they pay.
Thank
So
you.
those are going to be open. The only thing, like I had reported, the people that are aware, especially the local people, that we try to set them up for a hearing, and they have been disrespectful to their prosecutor, and they say, I don't need to show up, I don't need to work anything out with you, anyway, what's gonna happen, and we don't have a police department. We're putting a hold on the driver's license. So that's why we decided to hold them for 6 years, because that way, when they try to renew their driver's license, they can't, because we have a hold on them.
So previously, you guys came in, you and our city attorney came in, and the council approved closing out some older tickets. Do you remember how many were approved for closure?
To be honest with you, I don't wanna, give you wrong information. I'm just not prepared to give you that information.
Okay,
But I can get it.
I understand. Thank you. Hold on, go ahead. Go ahead.
so Judge, the 129,000 we've already collected, is that, we can't touch that money?
Part of it, we can, and I keep telling y'all, is I've been a judge for 11 years, and, so there are, like I tried to explain to you, when we collect, it's like, the fines. When we collect, there's fines, and then there's court costs. So the fines go automatically to the city. that should go to the general fund, the fines. And the court costs, those court costs are divided between the state and the city. What stays with the city, they go to different pots. They go to technology, they go to court security, they go to truancy, and they go to jury, because these are extras that are included in the court costs. Those stays with the city. Those the city cannot touch, because those are specifically for those items. But the fines go automatically to the city. So when I took office, that's why I couldn't understand why everything was going to this account separate. That's what I couldn't understand. I
Can
couldn't
you-
understand where there was no accountability.
Before you proceed, do
I'm
you
sorry.
know if those funds, because I do agree that, because we do not have the municipal court fund set up in Encode. And it should be set up in Encode. So when we collect, it should go into Encode. But, and I'm gonna read what our city attorney, what his legal opinion, and that this came from the Texas Municipal League. Texas Municipal League, the TML attorney. Municipal court fines, and this is from our city attorney, municipal court fine revenue for offenses other than traffic violations is treated as general revenue. So ordinance violations, whatever, is treated as general revenue and may be spent on any lawful purpose of the city. Transportation Code Section 542.402A provides that fine revenue for state traffic law violations must be used to construct and maintain roads, bridges, and culverts in the city, and to enforce laws regulating the use of highways by motor vehicles. That's municipal court funds. That is the legal opinion of our attorney and TML. So according to them, traffic citation funds can only be used, and this is Transportation Code 542.402A. The traffic fines must, and it says must, not could, maybe, must be used to construct main roads, bridges, and culverts in the city and to enforce laws regulating the use of highways by motor vehicles. Revenue derived from the local consolidated municipal court fees must be assigned in specific amounts to municipal court building, security, court technology, and juvenile case managers through the local truancy prevention and diversion fund. This is Government Code 134.103. So I don't really understand when you're saying that it goes into the general fund. Now, it can be, it might go into some line item, and you're in Aransas Pass. I'll call the city manager in Aransas Pass to find out. But their legal opinion, this is a legal opinion of TML, and it's the transportation code, says that traffic citation money can't be used for just any purpose. It has to be used specifically for maintaining roads, bridges, and culverts.
Well, so be it. I mean, you need roads. Look at our roads. We authorized you 300,000 to fix our roads 2 years ago. You haven't done anything.
Actually,
And that's a separate item.
that's actually on the agenda for this.
Yeah,
you guys can
but you
approve.
mentioned it on the town hall.
Yeah.
So
Why is it on the
then people
agenda?
don't know that there's $400,000.
So, but that's on the agenda for February.
Now, why is it on the agenda now? We brought it up. That's why.
Oh, no, because
Yeah,
I had
that's why
already
it's
sent
on
her,
there.
I had already sent her what I wanted on the agenda, so.
Mayor, on a side note on that, the judge, there's only 30% of these ticket revenue can be used. After that, it goes to the state, correct? With a new law?
Yes, to the state
So,
control.
general, the budget, so after you say we get 200,000, we might not get all
That
that
goes
money.
to the state control.
So there's a cap on that, 30% of the budget.
Well, it depends on how much, yeah.
If you budget 150,000, you know, 30, what does the math teach you? How much is 30%?
30% of company?
150. So after 45,000.
That is, sent in quarterly.
But to give you an example, you're correct. Monthly total, let's say for example, on the fourth quarter, $21,209 was brought in. The city keeps 17,000, which is the big majority,
Yes, it is.
and then the state keeps 4,000. So it's, you're right, it's probably, what, 20%?
It's 30% up, 30%.
But we still keep the majority,
Say that,
But like I said, I mean,
we're not here to, give
Right.
out tickets.
Right.
But what about all that stuff in the past, though? The outstanding things? Because the discussion was around 129,000, the rule just came in. Is the stuff in the past gonna fall under the new rules as it processes? Does that make sense?
I don't understand what you're saying, I'm sorry.
The discussion was on 129,000,
That was in the past, it's been.
has that like money already processed through fully?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
That's in-
Then it doesn't fall under the
No,
new.
it's just, he's just using that as an example, so it has been collected.
So, I mean, I'm gonna say, Councilman Inges gave us about 150 to 200,000. I think that if we can put together a police force for that, in between 150 to 200,000, I think it's something that we can manage. There'll be maybe some things that we might have to, kind of put on the back burner. I mean, we do have $1 million loan that was just approved that we're gonna have to pay, and that's about $200,000 a year, paying back that $1 million loan for the Parker Engineering firm. We also have a meter project that we have to finish up stage 3. Now that we're in a new year, they can start stage 3. I think did I forward you an email? I think I forwarded you an email about the water meter. Daniel wants to come and meet with you about stage 3. So if I haven't, I'll send it to you. So we're still making payments on that. Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me. I looked up about the municipal court general fund money. It says the money from, and I know you give us the ruling from the TML attorney. It says money from municipal courts deposited into city's general fund can generally be used for any legal municipal purpose to support city operations. Specifically, these funds often support police departments, public works, city staff salaries, and general administration. But they may also be directed toward court-specific needs.
What did you read that from?
Well,
So I can send it to
Ma'am,
everyone.
why did you take
Wikipedia? Yeah,
Ma'am, why are we discussing this? We're not,
I don't know,
like, the main
but I'm
sense.
just
Yeah.
We
saying,
just know somebody's patrol,
Exactly.
we're not gonna.
I'm just saying that it's
Right.
not
I mean,
specifically for
why we were
roads
discussing
and
money,
everything.
we just want safety,
Right.
public safety.
Exactly. I
We're not worried
agree.
about traffic light.
No, but he mentioned about the monies, how it can be utilized.
Yeah.
Well, the monies can be utilized however the state tells us to do it.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Exactly.
But right now, we just want security.
Yeah.
Is that what I understand?
Exactly.
I mean, we didn't worry about, traffic citations and.
Yeah.
So I think that I look at the city's finances almost 2, 3, 4 times a week, depending on what our situation is. I get the accounts payable report. When I see our bills, I think the last AP report I saw was almost $200,000, and we pay bills every 2 weeks. So this was just for the first 2 weeks. So I try to be very, very cautious about how I'm spending y'all's tax dollars. I mean, this is, I'm gonna be honest. I tell them, send me the report until it's approved. They just don't get paid, because I want to make sure that we're covering everything and we don't go backwards. I think 150 to 200,000 may be manageable, but I would have to have Ms. Lisa here and Betsy work on like a budget, see what we pay it right now, once the $1 million loan that we're taking out to do the wastewater stuff, how that's gonna affect our monthly, because it is like 45,000 each quarter, divide that into a monthly cost, and see how, this is gonna affect, can we, I mean, I think the numbers that I see, 150,000, I think is doable. How much coverage we get for 150,000, it's, maybe a chief and an officer, But we will lose DPS.
Oh, I'm okay with that.
So,
But you said it's doable. What happens after 3 months? It's not doable.
that's a problem.
I think if we're
You
gonna.
know, if it's doable, yeah. And after 3 months, we gotta,
I can just say
we
this.
can't.
And what was the thing?
Hold on, hold
mentioned?
on.
Yes.
Amanda.
I have actually 4 questions because I was waiting. So, just to clarify for Councilman Dominguez, what exactly is your time frame that you would want this police department to work for 150 to 200,000 timeframe? Like, do you want 24/7?
No.
Do you want 8 to 10, no
No,
weekends?
it's not for me to decide.
No, I'm saying, but you're the one that is saying,
Uh,
that hold on, let me finish my question, please. So you have said multiple times that you spoke to citizens who are concerned with our security. So when you come up with this proposition, because you're speaking for the citizens, what is your idea that you would say would be sufficient for our citizens to feel safe? What kind of time frame? Because I would anticipate 24/7. I just logically can't anticipate paying $150,000 for a 24/7 police department. That's my first question. My second question is, Mr. Mata, you explained that we have a code enforcer who cannot give citations right now, right? Because we don't have a police department. How does,
No, not because we don't have a police department, because our ordinances say that everything follows under the police department. So, right now, he's been with us for 8 months, I think,
okay,
and we're paying him 960. And all he does is cruise around and just tells people, hey, you need to cut your grass, and that's it. Well, Lisa could do that, or anybody could go out there and do it.
okay, so wait, that brings me back to my next, so if he's been here 8 months, all the council is aware that he really can't do much, right? Because he's not able to give citations, is what you're telling me?
We just found out through the
Because of an
judge the other
ordinance,
day.
right?
We
Who
just found
manages
out
the
through the
ordinances?
judge the other day that he cannot give that he's not giving citations. He even admitted, he says, well, I don't give citations, I just give warnings and all that,
So who
I thought he
manages
was
the
giving citations,
ordinances?
that's what I know.
No, he was instructed, and let me answer this a little bit. He was instructed by the previous administrator not to give citations for the first few months that he was out here, to just give warnings. He can give citations, and when he was here, we told him, enough is enough. If people are not correcting the issues, start giving citations. So he already knows that going forward, this new year, that he's going to be giving citations. Now, there are some things that are ordinance violations, and he's correct. I mean, Councilman Falcon can file about an ordinance violation with the municipal court. He doesn't have to be a police officer. Because any citizen, you yourself can go to the municipal judge and say, I want to file a complaint. It's an ordinance violation. They're not doing A, B, and C. The judge will summons that individual to court. And if you have pictures, evidence, whatever, the judge will make a ruling, and then the judge can impose a fine on that person. So the city ordinance guy is an agent, is not the only person that can go out there and take something to the municipal court. Any of y'all here can go, if you see somebody violating a city ordinance, you can even call and say, hey, is this an ordinance violation? Because I'm tired of this, A, B, and C. And the city will let you know if it is. Then you as a citizen can go and file the complaint, take pictures, do whatever you need to do, and present it to the judge. The judge will, summons? Is that what it is?
Summons, yes.
Summons this person into court. And if the judge finds that they did violate an ordinance, the judge will impose a fine. So if we don't, I mean, the ordinance officer that we have now, I mean, it's just because he can go out there 4 hours and just kind of represent the city and just kind of warn people. I mean, I wouldn't want you guys to go next door to your next door neighbor and say, hey, look, man, if you don't do this, I'm going to report you to the municipal court, because it could become, kind of a struggle. But if you see something, you can always call the judge or call City Hall. And next time our ordinance guy is here, we send him over there to address it. But like I said, anybody in this room here can file a complaint with the municipal court.
Mayor,
Yes, Judge.
I don't know, I know Lisa's new, I don't know if any citizens have gone to City Hall to file complaints about their neighbors or their area about,
Ma'am,
how weeds or rodent or,
we
I
get the
don't-
complaints through Facebook. Because that's where everybody goes to complain. If I see somebody post something on Facebook, I usually will forward it to to our officer that we have, our part-time, so he can go and maybe address it. So that's kind of where we get a lot of our complaints, so,
because.
go ahead, I'm sorry, ma'am.
Because what I was gonna say is, if y'all get any complaints, these are, you say that this code enforcement officer comes in 4 hours, those are things that he might be looking at. And, if these are cases that, he has already given them, a notice, a warning. I don't, because I haven't even seen the letter that he has sent out or anything. I'm sure it's something that he drew up. I don't know what he's sending them. Then the next step would be, for them to get summons. I can prepare, Patricia, our court clerk, to start working on summons. That's not a problem. It's just like, I'm sorry, the times that I've come, I hear people that are, like you say, they just bring it up and it's something that, it needs to be addressed. We can take action on it. The court can take action, but somebody needs to initiate it. And so the court is ready. So we're ready to issue summons.
So that can be done without the police department?
Does our
We can-
website
yeah,
have like
we
an
have a
online tool that we can submit something?
No, ma'am, I don't think the citizens really are aware that they can file.
Well, that's where I'm confused, because Billy's saying we can't enforce like citations. You're saying we can.
Cannot give a
Go through
fine.
the court.
So we can't give, so the code enforcer getting $12,000 to cruise around Odem,
Cannot give a fine.
but he can't give a
Well,
citation.
No officer could, they can give a citation.
Citation.
You can give a citation for violation, but the court will impose the fine.
So the difference between a citation and a fine,
It's like a-
in y'all's opinion, is that a citation just says, you didn't cut your grass,
Right.
whereas a fine is like you're summoned to court. So he turns in a copy of his citations to her, does she turn them around and make them fines?
Well, she will summons, like she just said, she would summons it's just like you get a ticket, right? Most of the citations, speeding citation will tell you if you were this much over, it's so much, but ultimately, the judge has the final say. So you can get a traffic citation, your fine based on what the ticket says on the back may be $300. But those are just numbers. When you come before the court, you tell the judge, well, the reason I was speeding was because my husband was having a heart attack,
Right.
my child was sick, yada, yada. And then the judge can say, okay, well, you know what? I'm only gonna charge you $100 fine. The judge will impose what fine she sees fit for the violation, whether it's a speeding ticket or whatever. But a police officer can't say, hey, it's a $300 fine, you need to pay it. That's not the way it
No,
works.
but what I'm saying
But
is
it has been done.
every citation that he's giving, now you're gonna receive them and review them and decide who needs to
He
be.
has to.
Like say he goes out there and you didn't cut your grass right and all your clippings are on the, I always remember Tina's story. Whenever she got fined for having her grass clippings on the street. But so say he sees that and he goes, hey, you can't be doing this, here's a citation. So then he's gonna turn in the copy to her, then she's gonna review it and decide if this needs to go further or if we just need to squash it.
She will,
Oh, no,
He
they
will-
don't get fined.
Summons.
he will turn it into the city hall, basically. Patricia, who is her clerk, will get it. And then, she'll meet
Then we'll
with the judge
process
and the judge will decide. The judge is the only one that can summon somebody. Patricia, the clerk, can't summons anyone.
But right now, we don't have any action. We got nothing coming in.
Why? If he's been here 8 months.
Well, I mean, again, his agreement with the previous administrator was that he was gonna go out. He's been here 8 months, but he hasn't been here full-time 8 months.
Right, but the
It's
previous
4 hours a week,
administrator's boss is y'all. So if
So-
y'all see 8 months, all of y'all up there, every one of you saw that your enforcer has not enforced anything in 8 months, why did y'all not tell your previous administrator, hey, make him start doing this? Because
Well-
there's so many people complaining on Facebook about A, B, and C.
I don't think they.
I'll
I
answer
don't-
that, because I made the call. When I noticed he wasn't putting out fines, I made the call. And I called him myself, and he sent me a text that I can show everybody in this room that said, I was asked not to give out citations, give warnings out, and then I would meet with Sal and we would, talk about what the next steps are. But we knew about it.
So then
knew about
did you
it
call
because
Sal and
I
say,
called-
look, Sal, I think
called
that's
Sal-
wrong?
I called Sal and Sal told me, it's a plan that we have, and as soon as we're ready to.
That you weren't aware of?
Call action.
No. Well,
Sal
I mean,
didn't bother to
I-
share that
I-
plan
it
with
was
the
that,
city
like,
council?
the day-to-day operations of the city fall on the city administrator. I mean, there's some things that just, I mean, she can't be telling us everything that's going on. That was the thing that Sal, I mean, our previous administrator brought in, I don't like to use names, so, brought him in.
I don't believe they were aware,
He does
He
know,
just said he was.
but until later.
I was because I called him.
Yeah.
he
Right, that's what I'm
knows,
saying, like,
I called him and I called the code enforcement because there was a resident that kept telling me, I have big problems, I have big problems. So I called Sal and I asked him, do you have a number? And he says, yes. So I called the code enforcement, he's the one, I said, what, you've been out there 3 times, why haven't you done anything?
yeah,
And he explained it to me, so that
and did
at
you
that time I
agree?
made the call and I said, oh, okay, that's the plan that y'all have.
but he
Understood.
knows now, because at our city council meeting we had, he was here and we explained to him that, this is a new year. Everything he did, he's already done his due diligence, that people know that he's here, he's out there. I mean, and that's, like I said, I've had at least 3 people, maybe more, but 3 people for sure, I couldn't really think of their names, that have interacted with him. And they said he was very professional. He actually, not only did he tell them what they were doing wrong, he helped them on how to correct it.
Yeah, and my problem
But
is
now
not
he
with the
knows,
code
and
enforcer.
now he knows
I don't even
that
know him.
going forward, he's gonna be given citations,
As of when?
as of the new year, since we met. I mean, he knows now that he needs to, basically start, this was the January city council, January city council.
Yeah.
So it's a new year. Now, don't get me wrong, if he goes to one of y'all's houses and this is the first time you have a junk car in your front yard or in the street, he's not gonna give you a citation. It's just the first time he's ever interacted with you, hey, you need to move your car because of A, B, and C, but if you put it over there. But if this is the 3rd time he's gone out there because you're not moving your car, your junk car from the side, he's gonna give a citation, and then again, the process, he will turn them into Patricia. Patricia will let the judge know, and the judge will order the summons. 'Cause she's the
I'm
only
gonna
one that can.
recommend just 2 times. I mean, first time, they do the notice, and the second time, there's just.
Yeah. No, we were just,
Yeah,
I think our
I think
previous
the-
administrator was just to try to get
To
people to
educate
understand.
them and let them know,
Educate them.
because nothing has.
And it's not a money-making thing either.
No.
It's just more,
And y'all already agreed on like a fine,
Those are already,
There's
those
already-
are already said.
Now, as far as the $40, we didn't know until he came and we asked him. And he says, I get $40 an hour. And I come in 4 hours a week. That's it. That's how it's almost 960 a month. Is what he
that's
said.
what I'm saying, that's
So,
concerning as a
To
citizzen.
me,
that-
that's a lot of money. I would
$12,000.
rather,
did you $40 now?
yes, yes. So I would prefer that city staff, if they're just gonna take it to the judge and summons, because that's how Billy Joe did it back in the day, but there was no court. She would just tell you.
There we go.
Billy Joe.
That's how Billy Joe did things.
Jeez, everybody listen to her.
Still running this down from a parade.
But there is an ordinance on 500, up to $500 a day, that, even before we had the judge, and I don't know how she got away with it, but, she did.
So,
Cause that would go like to businesses too, right? Like when Exxon is completely overgrown.
Oh, back
Many times.
when I was the mayor, and I will say, if he's not here, I invited him to see who's gonna be here. But we told him a long time ago, we have a lot of hours, man hours of our employees going and cutting the grass.
Right.
We have a list of how much it costs, and we told them to look into the lien.
Yeah.
And never happened, because actually you could turn it in, if they don't pay, you could turn it into the, not this court,
Right.
you go to the other court and you put a lien at the
My worker
courthouse.
can take care of that.
Right, so, that can still happen, we just gotta lead them in the right direction.
I mean, the issue that we have with a lot of these businesses that are closed down, if it's a $300 fine, these people are millionaires. $300 is nothing. If we send them, Sal has sent invoices to some of these business owners. And it's a whatever, and just, like I said, I don't remember one specific one, but I mean, they just pay it. It's like.
They'll take care of it when it's $500,000.
I mean, yeah, they just pay it because.
Well, the Valero's bank owned.
It's just,
That's one over here.
Yeah, but.
dropping the bucket for them. So, I mean, it's not a big deal for them
Yeah.
to just pay that fee, whatever it is for us going out there and mowing it for them.
Probably
But-
cheaper.
And unfortunately, that's the situation that we're in when we're dealing with people like, like that aren't from here. I mean, most of I think they're from the Houston area or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they just send a check. It's no big deal.
And
Let
then
me
to
know when
piggyback off
I
of
need to
that,
pay it again.
That's what happens, mayor and council members, that's what happens when people are from out of town. They really don't care. They just pay the fine and continue. And what I have done in the past is, because they can pay online, I flag those cases because they're repeaters, because they don't take care of their property. So, I have those cases flagged that they cannot pay it online. They're gonna have to come in and see me. And that's when we can, that's when I'm allowed, we'll be able to do the cap $500.
Well, I don't think that it's ever been, at least while I've been here, we've never taken legal action against them. We just send an invoice for mowing their yard, their property, and they just send us a check, so we've never taken legal action, but that might be something to consider going forward. I mean,
well, I remember the previous judge had said,
yeah, hold on. Go ahead.
Mine is an answer to her. At the last city council meeting, when he brought the enforcer in, he said that he will not answer to the council. He said he only answers to the city administrator. So the council can call him all day, but he will not respond to what they tell him. He said that here in front of the council, in front of the mayor, in front of everybody. He said, I will not, if they call me, I'm not gonna listen to them. He said that. So it's not the council's
is that
fault.
right?
I mean, it is,
But-
there's a chain of command even with
Yeah.
the city, and the city administrator is the day-to-day operator, the day-to-day.
But I wasn't telling
But-
them to tell him
no,
something, I was telling them
but
they
you were
should tell
saying that they
Sal
didn't do any-
something.
That you said that they didn't do anything about it.
They didn't
They
tell
came-
Sal he needed to
Well,
change
they
it.
can't, the thing is, he'll only answer to Sal, but the
But
thing
that's,
is,
that's.
they didn't know that. The
That,
council didn't know that. He came and told them at the last meeting, he laid down the law, he said, I only answered to her. And he said that plain and simple. He said, it's in my contract, I only answer to her. So he said, they can call me all day. He said, they have called me all day. He goes, but I will not respond to them. He goes, I tell them, call the city manager.
Even
He responded
myself.
to Isaac.
Well, yeah,
That was before.
This was before, and I know
Before what?
before, he came in that night and he said, when he put that in place, I kept calling him. I kept calling him. He made that very clear and he sent it to me, basically sent it to me,
Yeah.
because I kept calling him and he basically was
And
telling us that night, hey,
Ideally, he's
you know
right.
what?
I mean,
you know what, I'm gonna.
that's
call
our
you."
Sal's boss. So y'all should have gone to Sal
We're
and
kind of
told
getting
Sal.
off, we're kind of getting off the initial. the
You know what I'm
subject
saying? Like they go
over
to
here.
Sal and then Sal goes to him.
Let me just kind of straighten everything. All the city employees, none of the city employees that we have, whether it's a contractor or otherwise, report to us directly.
Yeah.
They can answer our calls and we can say, hey, what's going on over here? So we can let the public know if somebody calls Councilman Dominguez and say, hey, so what's going on over here? Why are all these trucks out here? So he could call that citizen back. But he can't give orders to any of our staff. That has to go through her. If we want something done, even myself, and I try very hard before we hired Ms. Lisa, everything was coming through me and Betsy. But she understands now, if somebody calls me and they want something done, they're not just calling to complain. They want something done on something. And I think Mr. Adame here has called me a couple times. Water leaks in his alley. I think you've had 3 back there already this year alone. So I won't call our maintenance guys. I've even told Mr. Adame, he'll tell you, hey, call the city hall, because he's called me after hours. Call the city hall number because they have to make a ticket. So I don't call the maintenance guys and say, hey, go out and do this. They wait until they get the call from the dispatcher or whoever the after hour service. And then in this case, they would call Miss Lisa now because she's here. and Jerry kind of keeps her in the loop. And then she will, if it's something critical like the water shut off that we had to do yesterday, I believe it was, she will let us all know via email, which she's been very good about. But just to clear that up, no city employee answers directly to us. They answer to Ms. Lisa.
Right, and I understand
so-
that. I mean, I don't think Governor Abbott's calling you to tell you anything. I'm pretty sure he's got a chain of command to go all the way down. But what I was saying, when Isaac said that was his thing, it should have been y'all's responsibility as a council to address Sal and say, look, Sal, we're paying $900 a month for him to cruise for 4 hours. That's not worthy of tax dollar money. Let's make it happen now.
And I mean, looking back, maybe that was probably the hindsight, I mean, we could maybe have done something. But again, I know what his ultimate goal was, just to let people know that we do have this person out there. But going forward, he already knows it's time. If they continue to violate, they're gonna go ahead and issue citations. Hold on, Judge. Go ahead, ma'am. Finish.
And then I had to know about the code enforcer. How can Odem utilize our constable? He can't do any of like city stuff because he's only county?
You can serve
I
papers.
can answer that.
Okay.
Okay. When the judge now was a constable, we even offered the contract to him if he wanted it, but then we had to go with the sheriff, and the sheriff took the contract at $200,000 a year. But we offered it to the constable first. He said that he works for the judge, that all he's supposed to do is be a bailiff and to serve papers
For like our
For
JP
the-
here.
for the JP, yes. And that's it. That's all he's done.
And I worked the road over here.
And work the road. Now, that, to me, that's taxpayer money. I mean, he's
Yeah.
getting double dips. He's getting paid by the sheriff's office, and then he's getting paid.
So have y'all contacted the judge to see if y'all could amend that?
He works for them.
But I'm saying, if
Oh.
he works for him, then go to his boss and say, look, our
Well-
city is without police department.
Any
How can we
agreement-
amend this ordinance to
Yeah.
include the constable's task, to include,
Any
like,
agreement,
Hey,
any agreement
go-
with any agreement with a county
Go to the
entity,
county, county,
Commissioners.
Yeah.
commissioner. That's
Yeah.
what we need to go to.
Commissioners.
it would have to go, any agreement, even with the JP's office or with the constable, if we wanted to do like, I guess, an MOU with them to work with the city, it would have to be approved by the commissioner's court. It would have to go beyond the agenda, they would have to discuss it, and it would have to be approved by them. Anything that, any local, I guess, or agreement, I don't know what the word would be, agreement would have to go through the commissioner.
who would make that request?
I mean, we would probably have to, the city would have to make the request, but we would have to work, now, if we go to the constable or the county judge, or the county judge here, the JP, and he just straight out says no, well, I mean, there's no purpose for us to try to get it approved through the commissioners, because he's already said, no, I don't agree, I don't wanna, I'm busy enough with my own stuff, I don't wanna have to do y'all stuff as well. So, now there is an agreement between the city and that entity, which JP's office is considered an entity, it's not just one person. Then we could draft something up, some kind of agreement, and then it would have to be approved to the commissioners.
Judge, is the constable over there, when you, city, do they interact with you guys? The constable?
The constable, he's usually with the JP.
I've seen her constable drive around.
Some can be
sometimes too.
proactive.
Well, Steve used to drive around all the
See,
time.
and that's what,
Well, I see
I
our
think I know
Lord
where
Christ
you're
They
coming
can be
from.
proactive.
It goes back in the day to where his dad used to patrol and give tickets, but the tickets would go to JP.
Yeah.
Tino Gaddisai used to patrol a lot,
Yeah.
and he was very good, give tickets, and that's all we're asking for is patrol.
Yeah.
But, and give
That's what I'm
tickets.
saying, if there'd be more
If
cost
you do wrong, you
efficient to
do
do that, why haven't y'all gone to Commissioner's Court? I mean, the JP can say all he wants and it's too much for him. I tell my boss all the time to quit adding patients because it's too much, she does not care.
Well, I think that the agreement, if we were gonna work with the constable, it would be through the constable's office, not the JP's office,
So what does it have to go to Commissioner's Court?
because the
have to approve
commissioners
it.
would have to approve any.
So why wouldn't you just start at the top?
Well, because we have to make
That's
sure
not
that the
the way it
constable
works.
is actually even interested.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, the constable, the JP lives in Odem, so would he really want to impact us by adding a whole police department if we could utilize his one constable that he has?
Well,
That's not his job.
again,
He could tell you like the ordinance.
I think they said the constable
You're not
don't
my
wanna
boss.
do it.
Is that what y'all said?
yeah, I mean, I don't think he's.
It's like
he
you
won't.
They don't
so
wanna
much
do it or no,
work,
you're not saying
and
that.
you get paid so much, and they give you
Oh,
a
okay.
responsibility, you're not gonna wanna do it.
It's an elected position,
Yeah.
then don't run again.
Then-
Well,
then
the thing is
get
that,
them out.
hold on, guys,
That's the way you solve it.
Conversation needs to be over
What
here.
they're trying to explain to you.
over
is
here,
They're separate.
go, over here.
I'm sorry.
So, again, you know, we have to realize that each one of these agencies is a separate entity. The constable's office, while they don't work for the judge, they work with the judge. But he is his own entity, and the constable's office is the constable's office, because he is elected official. He doesn't necessarily answer directly to the JP, he works with the JP. So if he chose to kind of help the city out, then we could draw something up, an agreement with the constable's office, not necessarily to the JP's office. So, but we're not even there right now. I mean,
But are we
that's
here
not
to
something that-
discuss potential resolve to the citizens of Odem not feeling safe?
Well, I mean, I think it's something that we could look at for sure, to help. But right now, the discussion is about trying to find a way that the city can continue going in the direction that we're going and still have some kind of law enforcement
Wait, I have one
presence
more
in here.
question.
You said.
Go ahead.
So then I had 4
Oh,
questions.
okay.
And so then my last question is also with what Billy said earlier. You mentioned that, that I'm assuming you're talking about Vicky, that she was being, what was your word? Whenever they basically conned her into spending $1 million in the wastewater plant, and then they conned her into spending 400,000, what you said earlier?
950,000, almost $1 million at the wastewater treatment plant.
Right.
And then there's a contractor that charged 429,000.
Right, so
for the
what
unit.
that brings me to the question is, what have y'all implemented to safeguard that kind of situation will not happen again? Because I saw the same thing with the budget with the police department. Y'all started, remember your news break that you did with the news where it was only gonna be 125,000?
150.
150,000? When it first came out, that's what you told everybody, and then it went all the way up to 600,000? What safeguards have y'all already implemented to assure us that y'all will not get in that predicament again?
Well, and to answer that question is, there are no safeguards in writing. The safeguards are with myself, the city administrator, and the finance manager to ensure that going forward, that we do not spend that kind of money without coming through the city council to let them know that we're going to spend this much. Because my spending, and I'll just use this as an example, there's a piece of equipment that we're interested in purchasing. My spending limit, based on what the council agreed 2 years ago, is up to $25,000. After that, I have to come to council for approval. There's a piece of equipment that the maintenance guys would like to purchase. It's 27,000 and change. I know it's only a couple thousand difference, but I still have to bring it before the council for approval. If it was something that was an emergency, obviously we can just we have to do it, and then if it was a huge water leak, sewer leak, and it's gonna cost 50 grand to fix, we have to move on that quickly, and then we can still come before the council to ratify that expense. But those are the only things that are in place that, those are just kind of self-imposed.
But that's your key problem in this entire council is y'all assume, because you in your head know, but in the medical field, if it isn't documented, it didn't happen. And that should apply to city ordinances all the way around. If it is not documented, then it is not imposed.
And those are things I think that there is a draft, or because of the audit that was done through the OOG's office, we had to come up with a financial policies and how to manage finances. And we also had to come up with a policy for grant, how to handle grant money.
That was from the police department grants, right? They all
Well,
had to
any
pay all
grants.
that money
We have to
back.
have a general.
We only paid $770 back. That's it.
But why? How much did y'all pay to
Because
get
it
it to
was an
700?
overtime.
Hold on. There was, now, yeah, there was a big amount of money that they told us that we would just pay back. But we avoided that fine because we took action. We put together a response to the state, and they pretty much like forgave us. They said, okay, we're gonna let it slide this time. You're not gonna have to pay back all this, but you will have to pay this. Okay, so now we do have draft policies for that. They haven't been brought up to council for approval because our previous city administrator was working with our with our city attorney to try to make sure that all the wording and stuff is correct. Those policies, it's basically similar to what other cities are using. That's how they were put together. That's how we work on putting them together. But there are some areas in those policies where, and this is what you're talking about, where we have to create new ordinances. Because the draft actually refers to ordinance number something, and those are blank right now because we don't have ordinances in place to address those issues. So hopefully, now that Ms. Lisa's here and she can.
There's a policy, procurement
policy,
We just gotta look that up.
See, I already discussed that with Lisa and I shared it with her, that even though the state moved it up to 100,000.
Yeah.
But our ordinance still says 50,000. So our ordinance overrides state law, so we gotta follow that.
So we, hopefully, as we move through the process here, we have our new city administrator, we can get those ordinances in place, whatever they may be, and then approve that new financial policy. And then we will have what we need on paper that says, in the future, another mayor here can't do A, B, or C. It has to go through a certain process, But right now, there really isn't anything in place, Ms. Amanda, that I can tell you, but we are working on it. And it is pretty extensive policy, so. Who else had a question?
Can I answer?
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Can I answer your question? Your
Yes.
first question to me, so I'm not looking for 24/7. I'm
Okay.
just looking for in addition to what we currently have. I know Santat does a good job, but they only can do what they can do. And I know the DPS has been here. Like I said, I'm just trying to help with the response time. And I know there's been a lot of questions about response time. But if a citizen calls 911, to me, it's important enough for them, somebody to be out there quick. I'm more or less thinking about the older generation, the older.
Yeah.
And I think somebody here local, whether it's 3 days out of the week, 4 days out of the week, can make that impact. Because our police department before, it wasn't all bad. If there was a call made, regardless of who it was, he should have been there like right away. And I know a lot of times they were, sometimes they weren't, but that's my goal. My goal is just to get additional coverage and to help the response time, because to me, timing is everything. Timing is everything.
Did we at one time hire the sheriff department to?
We contracted out with
How come
them.
we can't do that?
It cost 200,000 is what they were charging us. And then they couldn't do ordinances. We met, they said your ordinances.
So then I'm sure we got it.
Isaac, can I say something to what you just said?
Sure.
You said you call them and they will show up. My experience with that chief, and when they were here begging for their job, I called them out.
Yeah.
I called them. There was a drugged out kid on my property. No one showed up. 30 minutes, I'm watching. No one's showing up. I'm keeping an eye on the kid. I called him back. Well, he went by. I said, no, he did not. I'm freaking looking at the kid.
Yeah.
He finally shows up. And I said, what's going on? You didn't come. Well, yeah, I'm doing it. So you saying they're going to show up because you call them? They're there and they're going to show up. No, that's not my experience.
Yeah.
And you know what? That kid had a warrant for his arrest. He was on drugs. He was doped up. And the guy did not want to do his job.
Right.
So
And I apologize for that because I don't have full control over
I know.
what they do. I have.
I'm just saying my
a
personal experience.
And I'm hoping that if we set up everything correctly in order for them to succeed, and then they don't, then we have other issues we have to address. My apologies for that, but to me, you make that 911 call, they should have been there within a minute because they're here if they're patrolling.
It wasn't a 911
Right.
call. I called the office and said, hey, I got this drug out.
Right.
I was Councilman Dominguez, I was not there, it was 4 years for that police, but I wasn't council. But I think you were on council, we would have addressed that pretty quick.
Let me just kind of
right?
An incident that happened in Councilman Papo was involved in this yesterday. There was a young man that was seen jumping over my daughter's fence into her backyard. She had a camera. Actually, I have a picture of the young man that I posted on social media to see if anybody knows who he was. Her mom lives right down the street. Councilman Falcone actually saw the kid
All the guy jumped.
jump the fence into her backyard. And of course, my daughter calls me because she thinks I'm off on Friday, which she didn't know I was working, and said, you need to call 911. So, and I gave her the number to the police, to the sheriff. I called her mom. I said, where are you? She told me, I'm here outside the house, but I'm not gonna go inside because I don't know if he's still in there. So I had her call 911. And from the time that her mom called 911, 5 minutes, there was 2 deputies there in 5 minutes. One of them went to his vehicle, ran the license plate on it. The other one walked through the backyard, didn't see anything broken into, and they both went in with her mom and checked the house to make sure that he wasn't in the home. And they were here, like I said, within 5 minutes from the time that her mom called 911 from her phone. And it wasn't just one. It was 2 deputies showed up, and they continued to patrol the area looking, because he was wearing some very distinctive pajama pants. If you haven't seen the picture, and according to the councilman here, he saw that truck go by multiple times.
See something, say something.
Going around, and then he parked down the street and walked down the sidewalk until he got. Why he chose my daughter's house is beyond me, to jump over the fence. I don't know if he was thinking he could go and get into the back door, or if it was unlocked, or whatever the case. But we had 2 deputies here in 5 minutes. Is that going to be always the case? No, it probably won't be. But there is a deputy always close by, within a 5-minute range. I mean, the sheriff, like I said, I talk to the sheriff probably on a weekly basis to find out if there have been any issues. And he has a deputy always patrolling kind of the Bethel Estate, Odem, Roy, kind of the highways going towards Satan and all those areas. So might be 8 minutes, but I can tell you just from looking at reports from the police department when they were here, a lot of the calls, even to 911, are non-emergency calls, but that's all people know. They don't memorize the sheriff's direct number. Somebody took my kid's bike from the front yard. They called 911, but it wasn't, an emergency. But that's all they know. That's what people have been trained to
But
do.
the Sandpad have an emergency line?
Like I said,
If you
the
call
other
the,
day, Isaac, you're gonna have those calls, you mentioned the elderly, you're gonna have those calls all the time. There's people popping fireworks before 4th of July. There's people popping fireworks before New Year's. That goes down in every small town community across America. It's gonna happen, I just think we're getting out of a hole. We don't have the funds for it. If you want more patrol, hey, make more non-emergency calls to the Sandpack. Hey, there's somebody walking over there. As a council member, as an Odem citizen, hey, you got some strangers walking around. Me, if I see kids walking around, I want to see more kids walking around instead of inside, but that's just me. It's that type of situation. It's going to be an expense. We're not in the clear right now. We need to get in the clear. I've got one situation that even the city is going to get the city in trouble. The light on top of the water tower has not been on for who knows how long. That's aviation right there. There's no blinking light up there no more. And it's been gone and it's been out for more than 2 years that I've been back here. It's been out and stuff. I'm in my garage 2 or 3 times a night and it's not on. There's plenty of other situations that right now I do not think it's the time to start this new department. I mean, I'm not against it, but I don't think it's the time.
No, and you're talking about it's not the right time, because everything that you've heard is basically, we don't have the funds for it. But if you look at, if this council was not trying to make a good decision and we saw that there's no money, we wouldn't be asking for it. There is money. There is money, and you're getting
That we need to
your
get done.
information off either Facebook or something like that. There is money. There's money out there, and I just mentioned it. I just told you how much money there was coming in, citations, just alone. Just alone. And the judges here, you can probably talk about how much more there is out there that comes automatically with the security of the town. But.
That's gonna run out to citation.
Yeah, I know
I
that.
don't think it's there.
I know that, a local police department is not gonna fix everything, but you know what? It increases our chances of being successful. And to me, if I call 911, a minute is too long. I'm waiting. 5 minutes is way too long. So, I think that as a council, we're looking in the right direction. Everything I see, there's money coming in, and we should be able to afford $150,000 to $200,000 local police department that will help initiate emergency services. And I'm not saying the county is doing it wrong, because David, the mayor just gave us a good example of what happened yesterday. I'm not saying it's all bad. I'm just saying it's in addition to. And I'm hoping that this will allow us to continue to bring money in like we are now. Police department's been gone for 2.5 years, like I've already said 10 times, and we're still bringing revenue in. Maybe we leave the impound where it's at, and we do everything else, but that's what I'm looking for. Anyway,
Commissioner Rodriguez?
I'm gonna wait.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
No, go ahead.
No,
No,
no.
Okay, about the police department. I don't know if any of y'all know, but I had a very extensive health problems. I had a lot of problems for like 4 years. And, there's a couple of times when I thought I was gonna die because I was so sick. 2 times when I called the ambulance, the police department showed up first. The officers came in, they checked on me, made sure it was okay, and they were real courteous. They really actually cared about how I was feeling. They cared, and they made sure they got the ambulance there. Another thing is, I think everybody's looking at it wrong. It's an expense. The thing is, we need a police department because everybody's seen it on Facebook. They go, you have porch pirates who go and steal stuff and everything. You don't have to have a 24/7 police department to start. What we need to do, and there's speeders. I don't know how many times I've almost gotten hit at the light. 18-wheelers, people from out of town just haul ass through the light after it's turned red.
Mr. Rodriguez.
But no. Okay, I'll get back to it.
Let me just intervene here. We're not talking about a 24/7.
No, that's what I just said.
Okay,
I said.
so, but you're using examples of porch pirates. Corpus Christi has 500 officers.
Yes, but it's a bigger town.
Exactly,
There's-
but you have to think. of-
Amazon reimburses you, man. I mean, let's be serious here.
You're making
They do.
examples.
Yeah.
Hold on, you're
We have
making
to say,
examples. Yes, you can, hold on, I'm gonna let you finish. You're using examples that, if I'm gonna steal a package from somebody's front yard, I'm not gonna steal it when the cop comes by.
Well, they will
I'll
because
wait.
we don't have the
You know.
police force.
But
That's
they're
what
gonna
I'm
see,
trying, that's
when the
what,
police force
let
was
me
here.
finish my statement,
Go
and
ahead.
then you can contradict me, okay? We're not asking for SWAT, we're not asking for all this other stuff. The people who want a police force, which I am one of them, the thing is, the other day when I went to my sister's house, I saw a car, when I left her house, I was passing the church, I saw a car come over the railroad tracks running about 40, 50 miles per hour, ran the first stop sign, ran the second stop sign on Cook. He just blew straight through it, not one stop sign. Why does that happen? Because we don't have a police force. The thing is, this is to be a deterrent. This is to help us. Because too many people are getting comfortable with, there's no cops, run the stop sign. Too many people are getting comfortable with, especially with the community growing. You're not gonna want the community, you wanna make the community safe. You wanna push that when you sell the houses, so hey, we don't have a full-time police force, but we're starting a police force because we want Odem to be safe. And and as you're saying that, what happens if it goes over? The thing is, they can get grants, the money they're bringing in from the tickets, the safety they're providing. The other thing is, my aunt's house was shot at. I saw the bullets in her house and in her car. Because I asked her, why'd your tail light broken? It was a bullet hole in there. And I think up dog too, but I'm not sure about that one, so I'm not gonna comment on that one. But the thing is, if we wanna move forward, if we wanna make Odem a good place to live, You know, you gotta have a police force, you gotta have some semblance of law. When I was in the Marine Corps, you know, you have discipline, you have people, you have enforcers who enforce the rules. Your drill instructors teach you how to do it, and you learn from that. But the thing is, these people in other areas get complicit. You know, it's just, we need it. I mean, and if you're so worried about, you know, the money, the thing is, I'm pretty sure David can tell you, or any of the council people, they're gonna bring in money from the fines. They're gonna make it safer, like I said, because I hate going through that red light on Baylor and,
They can't give a ticket for the trucks going past.
no, I didn't say the trucks, I said for the cars
But
going
you
through
said
the light.
18-wheelers a while ago.
No, earlier I said I seen 18-wheelers. Only the county can do the 18-wheelers. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that.
Says who?
That's not true.
That's
Traffic violation,
No,
traffic violation.
they
They can't inspect the truck. I drove a truck for 20 years, Gilbert. That's not true.
That's not true.
Anybody can pull me over when I was driving.
Hold on, hey, hold on.
Chris.
Okay,
They
okay,
did
I'm not
last
gonna
time.
argue with you, Chris. Let me correct you.
That's all.
Let me correct that. And Councilman Schwartz, I'll tell you right now. Our local PD could stop semi-trucks. This was a confusion. One of our officers at the time, this is before my time, because I did speak to DPS and I did speak to the Rangers. They pulled over a semi-truck for running a stop sign, and they wanted to impound. They did a DOT
Oh, okay.
inspection. They're not certified to do a DOT inspection.
Right.
After the DOT inspection, they were gonna impound the semi for the violations. The truck drivers, they know the law.
Yeah.
The truck driver said, oh, you can take the trailer, but you're not taking my rig. So he went and disconnected the rig and said, now take the trailer. So the officer said, no, we're taking the whole thing. So he called his boss, the semi-truck driver called his boss. The boss called DPS. DPS came out and told the officer, our officer, you don't have the certification to be doing DOT and you cannot, you want to impound the truck, the trailer for running the red light, go ahead. But you're not gonna, you know, it's just a citation.
Yeah.
So the guy hooked his trailer up and left.
Okay.
The very next day, DPS, the lieutenant, I think it was Martinez, and the ranger came to the police department to talk to the chief and let them know his guys are not like, now we can go and get them trained and licensed to do DOT inspections, but they're gonna wanna pay, they're gonna get paid more. Because there are some, like out in Refugio area, the sheriff departments they do DOT inspections. But we don't have, that was the issue.
No.
However, there was a misunderstanding. The chief at the time thought that he was being told they couldn't stop semi trucks for any reason. That's why they weren't, it wasn't like that.
Okay.
It was, they can't be doing DOT inspections on these vehicles. Go ahead, sir.
I'll just, I want you to clarify something for us. Last meeting, Councilman Dominguez said if he wanted to appoint a police department, he could do it anytime. Is that true?
Not according to the new,
Okay,
standard.
Hold on.
I
was here, I heard you.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I said. What I said was, because there were some people saying that we didn't care. I said, if we didn't care, we would not have asked for a workshop. And the workshop was to look at the financials, look at other rates as the mayor has done, bring everybody in, let's make a good decision. If it's cost too much money and we can't do it, we can't do it. That's what I said. And I also said was that if we didn't care, okay, we could put this as an action item, take action to vote on it, and if it would have passed, it would have passed. We would have put the wheels in motion to start reactivating our police department.
One more question. Why are you so adamant about a police department? Are you gonna gain from this or what?
I'm not gonna personally gain at all. What I'm gonna gain is at least I know I did everything I could for my citizens to win and to succeed. An emergency is an emergency. You can laugh all you want. You can laugh all you want. But when you call 911 and you don't get that response time until you experience it, man, you're gonna have big questions in your mind. Because I've been close. And I've seen people call 911 and they don't come and things happen.
Well,
And all I wanna do is to set up
Sounds
a
like you're
success
paranoid.
everybody.
Yeah.
No, I'm not paranoid.
Yeah, you are.
I'm not paranoid. I care about our citizens, and that's what I want. I'm a big believer of it, okay? And I should be able to share that opinion with you.
and I'm not against, and if we were financially in a better situation, I wouldn't be against spending this $150,000 to $200,000 on some officers. I look at it, and whatever decision they make, if we're gonna put the wheels in motion, we have to get together the information we have to submit to the state for review. If ultimately they say, okay, you can do it, and the council votes, then I'm gonna have to do my best to keep the city financially sound going forward and try not to spend more than what's already been allotted. It can become very difficult. It's very difficult right now because we do have, and I think the last balance that I saw earlier this week in the general fund is about $800,000. When I came in, it was 30,000. But the reserve money that we had budgeted to move into a CD hasn't been moved yet. It's still sitting there. So there's that kind of, there's I don't know, several $100,000 that should have gone into reserve, but we used some of it to do the meter project because we had to put $200,000 up front. So just because the numbers look higher doesn't mean that that money is actually there, because we still have the Parker project that's going to be coming, the $1 million loan that we're going to be paying. A lot of that money is, I mean, not being used right now because we're trying to basically, we know we have big projects coming up. You know, we have the water plant servicing that the county, the COG, what does the COG stand for again?
Supposed to be in governments.
So they went out and got a grant for multiple cities. The other cities got their money. The county didn't give the city our money because because of our financial situation and history. So they're gonna manage it. It was about $2.3 million. About $1 million of it is all engineering, environmental stuff. So now it turns out that there's not enough funds to do the whole project that we wanted to do to service them. So if we want to do the whole servicing of the waste of the tower, because it hasn't been serviced since it was put in, the city's gonna have to fork out some money. You don't know what those numbers are. I think you're supposed to meet with them coming up. So after they meet, we'll know what's not gonna be paid for and what the city's going to have to cover. So that's the only reason that I'm concerned, because I'm concerned about the dollars and cents. That's my concern. I am concerned with the citizens. I mean, like I said, I had my own personal situation. Don't get me wrong. I wanted to jump in my truck and just haul back down this way. You know, the one day that I'm off that I'm working on Friday is when somebody jumps into my daughter's backyard. And I was sitting at home, a little concerned, waiting. You know, and 5 minutes, yeah, it did seem like a long time. But when her mom texted me, they're here, it was about probably a little bit, you know, give or take a little bit, but around 5 minutes for these two deputies to show up to the house. And I'm going to be honest, yeah, I felt nervous and scared. Luckily, nobody's home. You know, it's the middle of the day, nobody's home. Luckily, Councilman Falcon saw the person and reported it, which we tell everyone to do. But there are still going to be instances like this because we're not going to have a 24-hour police force. So there are going to be instances where we're going to be unmanned and we're going to have to depend on the sheriff's department. You know, and again, we might go to where it's going to be 10 minutes before the sheriff's department can get out here. If there's a huge wreck, I guess there was a huge wreck recently down here, all the deputies are over there. They are blocking roads. They're doing things. In the past, our officers also went out and helped direct traffic. So if there's an emergency during that situation, they may not get a quick response because they're going to be busy with a traffic accident where somebody may have been killed or something. But again, I personally believe, and I'll have our Ms. Lisa and our finance person work with these $150,000 to $200,000 budget, see what we can get with that money. But this is a very, very big decision. And it got out of control last time very, very quick. If you look at the information that I passed out to y'all, I mean, you can go to the last 2 pages. It got out of control really fast, you know. But like I said at the city council meeting, I really truly believe in my heart that if there are that many people that are for bringing this police department back, we should let the people vote. It should be a ballot item. So like that, if it does pass, no city council, no future mayor can just say, oh, well, we're not going to, budget for it. We're gonna close it down. Because that's not fair to the officers, and the chief who come over here hoping to work long enough to retire. If it's something that's put on the ballot and the citizens vote and approve it, then the future mayor and future council will have to work with it, the way they want to make sure that it stays in place. We tried it, before, and I think that it just, like I said, it ballooned really quick. I'll do my best to try to keep it keep that from happening, if it gets approved. But again, my recommendation to the council would be that we let the citizens decide on the future of this police department. And if they decide that they want to do it themselves, of course, I have no say in it.
Because I remember, like, when the police department was active, and I would come to the city council meetings when y'all would talk about the money, the budget, and it was always said that the police department, it is making money. Look, it hasn't been here for 2 years, and it's still gaining money. So which is it? Is it a revenue maker, or is it not a revenue maker?
Well, I'll answer first, and then I'll let you.
I have heard that said.
For a long time, there was a misconception that the police department was self-funded. It paid for itself. Even when I sat with our fire department and our fire chief at the time, and I told them that I wanted to try to get more money budgeted for the fire department so they could get some stuff that they needed, get some equipment that was still being worked on out of, the shops where they were holding them. And even our police chief said, straight out, well, we're very different than the police department because the police department is self-funded. And I said, I don't think that that's really true. He says, well, yeah, I mean, they're self, and that's kind of what I've heard many people say throughout the years. I've heard council members also say the police department is not costing the city anything. It's self-funded. I think somebody brought up grants right now because of the issue with the Lone Star grant. We're kind of on a probationary period. So grants are given based on certain criteria. One of the criteria is audits now. And so in the end, they score each applicant for the grants. And based on your score is whether you're going to get awarded or not. I really don't believe that we're going to be in a position to really get grants.
So, how did they do it before? Because y'all still weren't in a position to request grants then.
Well, that was because the police department, the grants were coming from another entity within the city. It didn't include the city's finances. It was more the police department's finances.
They audit the police department.
Yeah.
Right, but how can that, the police department is an entity of the city.
As long as they're in compliance.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. I mean, for example, and I'll use this as an example. If we decided to open up a Parks and Recreation department, right, and we put somebody in charge, which I hope somebody we can do, the new Parks and Recs department would be able to apply for grants because the city's financial history doesn't really affect that new department. That's how the police department, because it was new, they had no financial history. They weren't able to meet the requirements based on that. However, since then, because of the issues with the audit to the Lone Star grant, we're not in that position anymore. And I don't see now the new chief could apply for grants. I mean, of course, he would go through and work with them with Ms. Lisa. It's not going to be done by the chief himself. And we're going to make sure that we submit information correctly and make sure that, if we do get the grant, we're in a position to manage it correctly because it should have been a separate fund. According to the audit, we should have set up a separate fund, and Lisa works with grants all the time, so she can probably tell you a little bit more than I can. So correct me if I'm being wrong, if I'm saying something wrong. It should have been a separate fund to handle grant money. It should have gone through this separate fund So like that, when it was audited, you have everything there. It wasn't being handled like that. It was through the general fund, and that's why it was so difficult to account with
Yeah.
a lot of where that money was going. So it wasn't set up correctly from the very beginning. And going forward, we'll do our best to make sure that I mean, you can advocate some, I mean, you can probably know more about this than I
Well,
do.
and granted, if you buy a pencil, it's gotta be for pencils. You know what I'm saying? You can't-
See,
So,
like the mayor said, the bookkeeper didn't do that separate ledger to account everything that just says you buy. And that's why we went over $770 in overtime on one officer. So the mayor's correct. We got a letter saying you might have to pay all this back. But they said, we need all receipts, anything you could think of that was purchased with grant money.
Right.
So then they had to go to the general fund and pull out receipts from bulletproof vests, radars, radios, stuff like that, and that's how they were able to, say, okay, it pretty much averages out. But 770, you paid overtime and you went over. So you owe us that money. So we only paid 770,000. They did come back and tell us $770.
I'll say you got robbed.
Police department. $770. We paid it back. They did say, from here on out, you're gonna have to create a policy. And that policy is gonna have to stay on there, just like the mayor said. How are you gonna treat this money as it comes in?
Right.
So basically, it's, okay, we're gonna do a ledger with all grant money and it's separate. So that's, yeah.
so
Can I say something now? Okay, two things. Speaking to what Gilbert was saying, any officer could give a truck driver a ticket. I think y'all should maybe communicate with the DPS in the county. Because even my dad would say, Migo, don't cross that light. Wait 2-3 seconds. And it's true. Those truckers are just running right through every light. A few tickets to these guys, they'll change their way. I drove a truck for 20 years. You know what towns are giving tickets. You know. So they are taking advantage that there's nothing really going on here. But DPS, when you see that SUV Tahoe, that's all they drive.
That's all they drive.
The DOT guy, if you see him sitting out on the south side of Odem, he's looking for a truck. So they know. But if we could communicate with them to at least maybe sit where the subway is and watch these trucks running the lights. And once they start giving out a few tickets to truck drivers, that'll slow that down.
and I have done that in the past, and they have responded. You've seen,
But
that a few weeks ago, there was two troopers here. But, and I'll continue to do that maybe more often. But sometimes they're running, sometimes they're running these, what are these, sex trafficking, patrols, and they do them out in Portland a lot. So you'll see a lot of DPS in Portland from time to time because they're stopping all these vehicles.
well, when there's a major accident, then, we'll be proactive, reactive, not proactive. That's all I want to say about that.
Yeah.
Second thing I want to clear up, what Raymond says to Isaac, and I want to clear it up too. Wednesday night's meeting, you made it very clear. I understood what you said. You want the people to vote, have a say, but you said if anything happens, it had to go to the state, and the state's gonna say yes or no, you can have a police department. Am I wrong on that? Is that
That's the way our city attorney kind of.
Saturday meeting, Isaac said, hey, you kind of cleared it up, but I'm still unsure. You said we could take a vote and have a police department. What is it?
Well, based on the new legislation that was passed at the last, the way it's understood is.
Between y'all two, can y'all just clear it up between
Do
y'all
you have
two?
a copy of that?
Because we got different stories from the two of them.
I talked to our city attorney, he's been.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Let's clear it up now.
I go to the city attorney a lot because he's got a lot of.
Let's get it cleared up because we got two different things.
And he basically told me, I wanted to put it to the road, you could.
So here's the 37 Texas Administration Code 2011.16. Establishment or continued operation of an appointed entity. To establish an agency or a prospective agency meets the minimum standards for creation or continued operation of a law enforcement agency, the agency must provide evidence that the agency, and you use again the word must, you hear the word must, that means it's not either maybe, not maybe when it comes to the government. One, provides public benefit to the community. So it basically says the agency must provide evidence that the agency, which is the city of Odem, we must provide a reason, what the public benefits to the community are. Number two, has sustainable funding sources that meet or exceed the continued operating expenses outlined in a line item budget for the agency. And that's kind of where, we kind of are not sure that we're gonna, according to TCOL, in this district, said that you have to show that you have 5 years, that you can.
I remember you
the
said
agency
that
running for
Wednesday
5
night.
years. Number three, has physical resources available to officers, including at least one firearm, which we do have, at least one less lethal force weapon, which we do have, effective equipment, which we do have, one radio communication device per officer on duty, which we do have, at least one cell phone device per officer on duty who may have contact with the general public and is not performing any of the duties, which we can arrange that. We can get a cell phone specific for them. Item D, at least one bullet resistant vest, which we have some, as long as they're not expired. At least one uniform, which we have some old uniforms, but if we can go with, maybe jeans and a t-shirt that says Odem Police. We can do whatever. F, at least one motor vehicle, which we do have. We just have to get it up and running again. Patrol vehicles provided to officers whose duties include either performing patrol. Again, we do have that as well.
So
So
what does that mean?
I take it.
Did you mean if all that was good and the state approved it, then yeah, you could take a vote? Because I kind of, that's Saturday.
The way I see it, we have everything.
So you were assuming all that was good and you said we could take the vote?
We have everything. To me, we have everything on there, and.
Okay,
You know what, at
I
the
just
end of
wanted
the
to
day-
make sure
at the end of the-
what you meant.
Yeah, at the end of the day, if we don't have it, like I didn't physically come and make sure we had access with our city attorney. And at the end of the day, if we don't have it, we don't have it.
No,
I'll
I
support
wanted, I
whatever-
thought you were saying that if we wanted a police department, we would take a vote and you would have a police department.
That's the way I interpret it.
I was more or less.
Just want to clear it up.
So I was more or less responding to the fact that somebody, either on the Wednesday's town hall meeting, or maybe it was Saturday, or on Saturday, said that we didn't care.
No.
My point was.
I'm just assuming
No,
you
you're
said
talking
that.
about my
no,
post.
We do care.
No,
You're talking about my
I don't
post.
care about
I don't-
caring.
I don't know.
I don't care about caring or not caring.
I don't know.
I
who
want to
was.
know exactly what you meant, because you said, if we want to have a police department, we'll just vote on it. That's what you said.
That's what I said, yep.
And I want to
I'll bring that
make
up
sure you,
Because my thing is that everything on there, we need. We need.
okay, so,
everything on there.
okay,
Maybe
you
that's the
didn't say
problem.
that, and
You don't know.
that left us confused. Because on Wednesday, he said what he said about the state had to approve everything.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. And are y'all on the same page?
I'm on, I believe we need everything, okay? And.
David,
at the end
do
of
we
the
need
day,
everything as far as it goes
If
to
I
the
put it
state?
on the agenda, if I ask to put it on the agenda and it fails, it fails. If we
So-
don't have it,
Yeah,
then we
but
don't have it.
The
I'm okay with
financial
that.
part is kind of
We'll go
blurry,
forward.
because why are y'all requesting so much financing for all these projects if y'all have money? Because that's what that says, that y'all are financially responsible for 6 months. Then why has the last 2 big projects had to be financed?
Well, this is the
They're talking
thing.
about the police department.
The thing says that the agency must provide evidence that the agency, and this is where it has sustainable funding sources that meet or exceed the continued operating expenses outlined in a line item budget
For
for
5
the
years.
agency. And it's kind of, from my understanding, is we have to show that we have sustainable revenue for at least 5 years. Because that's usually how long it takes for a department to kind of settle in and things to kind of start to, and the judge will probably tell you the same thing, to kind of settle in and start kind of running effectively and things happening the way they do. Do we have sustainable revenue if nothing bad happens?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe 150 to 200,000, we might be able to work it in.
Y'all have 6 months saved revenue,
No, we don't
just in case
have,
something bad happens and the city doesn't have income coming in for 6 months.
either way, with or without a police department, we don't have 6 months of operating.
But you need 5 years, you just said.
No, we do have, we've got 129,000, then we have 34,910 in impound lot money. We have 10,515 in narcotics funds. That narcotics fund can only be used for, they give you a list of what you can use it for. So there is, right there alone, 160, 170, that surpasses.
But did you look at this? Over here, the budget says on one that we way behind on three of them. So we don't.
So what's the 5-year again? You're assuming certain money's coming in to keep it sustainable for 5 years?
Yeah, that we have,
Well, you can't make assumptions.
that we have the sustainable revenues, the way it's.
And what are
described.
those?
Sustainable revenue basically means tax dollars coming in, sales tax fluctuates.
Yeah, we
I
can't even
don't-
do the roads.
Sales tax doesn't count here.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Sales
hard
tax
to,
has nothing to do with,
it's hard
That's
to,
economic growth.
And the street roads have their own money.
I wouldn't put sales tax revenue, I wouldn't put citation money in there, because you never
So
know
what money
how
are we
much
putting
they're,
into it?
it would really have to be, tax dollars.
And of
We
course,
have
right
property
now,
tax
also, too,
dollars.
they're saying there is money there. After this week, how many water lines are we gonna have to fix?
So, hold on, did you have, Eric?
The line item on, you have to, what is it you have to prove with the money?
5 years.
That,
It's like we don't everywhere now.
the agency must provide evidence that the agency has sustainable funding sources.
When was the last time the city passed an audit?
Well,
It's in between.
They're almost catching up.
I mean, we haven't passed an audit.
So you have to meet all those line items in order to take a vote.
Yeah.
So right now, everything's a no-go. We can't pass an audit. So how can we prove that we're financially viable? So therefore, there can't be a vote.
It doesn't say anything about audits.
But I
But
just
the
said,
department was done without audits. Audits were behind.
But that's the whole, yeah. So the whole issue is trust. Money disappeared. Just reading y'all's body language, I don't read too good, so I try not to read between the lines, but I can tell from people wasn't here, people that were here don't really know. The body language tells me something happened. People know what happened. We're not saying anything, which is fine, but there's zero trust on the money. Y'all are asking for more money to do this. And yes, there's money now. We're about to have a freeze, and now it's a week away, so they're not all that viable. It sounds like there could be another cold blast next week. How many pipes are gonna burst? How much of that money are we gonna go through? We don't even have 6 months of it. I absolutely agree with the mayor that when the police department starts, I'm totally for it. I believe in sustainability for it. It would be awful to bring people in, blow the budget in 3 to 6 months, and have to shut it down yet again. That'll make it even harder to get it going one day. You mentioned the bypass. I think the bypass can be leveraged to the entire city's advantage, because the reason why I'm even here is the unique situation with the water source. I know, Mary, you mentioned, the water project might take 3 years, but when the lakes are at all-time lows of 10%, outside of a catastrophic flood, it's not going to get fixed overnight. It could be years before our water sources are back at a sustainable level. So I bring those two things up. If you combine the city's own water source, not dependent on Corpus Christi, if we stand out ourselves, that's something that we offer that a lot of other people in the area don't offer. Do we know if Sigmund has their own water, or do they get it from?
They get it from a company right outside of Sydney.
So they got Steel Dynamics, and if you look at, this is why I bring up the bypass, look at the location of Steel Dynamics. It is on basically more or less 2 freeways. I was in the Houston area for almost 15 years. Big companies want mobility. If you can provide a big company with sustainable water, we can invest the money that we are acquiring. If we can invest that money in our own water source and come together and plan the route that would increase mobility, get with big companies. I don't know if y'all know of any companies that are maybe looking in the area. Hey, what would work for y'all? Can we, help finally settle on a route that's been talked about for 20 years? If you combine water and mobility, now you can leverage some big companies. And while we may not get tax revenue because they might be outside the city limits, with the housing additions that we're planning, you can get people to move here, and then you can increase property taxes and other sales taxes. There is an answer. I just don't see it being done short term with the financial situations. We are recovering. It's like you get in an accident or something hurt on you. We haven't even identified the problem. We haven't even identified, like I mentioned earlier, who was here, who was not here with money. We got in a hole. Nobody's saying what happened. On my end, there's no trust. There's no trust that it's not gonna happen again until it's been identified. Sounds like there might be some policies in place. But I think we could look at the long term because Mary mentioned, and then someone else mentioned, addition of the police force is good, but addition is subtraction. As you mentioned, if we have police force, DPS no longer investigates traffic accidents inside the city. And then there's an extra cost for us. Now, I will mention DPS. There is a guy that lives off 2289. I can't remember his name. I can look it up if you want. He works for DPS and might be a little higher up, not just patrolman. I don't know if y'all are aware of him. I believe he has kids that go to Odem. That's a person that we can contact and might just have a better personal connection to the area. Like, hey, please help us out, because if he's on 2289, I've heard others say, trying to cross 77, when that light turns green, I do not immediately go. If I'm first in line, I'm making sure, and I get it, because especially coming in from the north,
But we've done that forever. I mean, when I was in school and I walked home, I lived on this side, and we as kids knew when the light changed green, you just don't cross. You wait.
And exactly.
So this was back in the 70s and 80s.
Even with the police force, somebody coming in, the going just a little over, and the light changes all of a sudden. The police force may not change that, but again, maybe the DPS and the personal connection, there's someone who doesn't live in Odem proper, but in the area, who I believe has kids here, if I'm not mistaken. There's a personal connection that we can reach out and maybe get a little bit more consistent help from DPS rather than just some regular officer that has no connection to this community. But thank you, council members, everybody, for your time, and thank you all for allowing us to communicate with y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I think if we wanna, if there's still more discussion, we can stay.
Are y'all on the same page? Y'all two? On the two different stories from Wednesday and Saturday morning?
As far as what? Going through the state?
Who can vote? Can the citizens vote, or can y'all vote, or vote?
Well, the council can vote to have the police department reinstated.
Granted that all that is met.
The way it's understood, we have to meet these standards, and we have to.
And is that what you meant, Isaac? I'm assuming that's what you meant, right? If everything was met? Okay, that's.
So if we can meet those standards and the state says yes, that we can, again, my only concern in this whole issue is not about should we or should we not have a police department. My only issue is, can we repair some of the other stuff that has been, not tended to over the years? Can we get to those things first before we move into this other direction? Now, as I said, 150,000 to 200, I think we can still manage that, but I don't know, because I don't know what Parker, that $1 million loan, I'm not real sure how that's going to look, as far as our budget wise. The water meter project, Daniel from the company that we're on stage 3. This stage 3, for you guys to know, they're gonna put basically antennas, repeaters. So our guys won't have to drive around town to check your meters anymore. This signal's gonna be sent straight to, our computer system. So we can free those guys up to do, other things. But in stage 3, we still have additional water meters that have to be, so I'm not real sure, what the cost, what cost we're gonna incur, with straight stage 3. Ms. Lisa, hopefully that by the February meeting, maybe we'll have a little bit of clarity on that. So those are just my concerns. My concerns are all financial. And to be able to continue to manage the city's funding, not just for the first 3 quarters of the month when tax dollars come in, but for the last quarter of the month, of the year, but the last quarter, because by the last quarter, all the tax dollars are gone. We've already spent them on things that we need to take care of. But again, if you asked or somebody asked, well, what happens if the police department blows through the $200,000 in the first 6 months? Are we going to shut it down? No. The city's going to have to fund whatever it goes over.
Over budget.
We're obviously not going to shut it down when we have employees that that depend on their paychecks. So we would have to find a way to maybe, and this is I think what happened throughout the years. They went over budget the first year, and they said, well, we need more money. So next year, okay, instead of 200,000, we're gonna do 250.
But that's how.
Oh, we went over
work.
budget, so we're gonna have to increase it next year to 300,000. So, we have to be very vigilant on trying to stay under budget. There may be days that we say, look, you've already used 3/4 of your fuel budget. So stop driving around so much, because if you stay,
Then they're not doing their job.
it's difficult to say that because, and I'm using that as an example because when I came in, the budget for the police department's fuel, in the system was $7,900 and something dollars. That was their budget for the year for fuel. When I came in, they were already at 23,000 over just in fuel. So it can happen, and unfortunately I had to tell the police department, well, you're only allowed these many miles a day. And I used that because the DPS at one time, and this was back in the early 2000s, I believe, or 90s, the DPS troopers were actually put on a restriction. You could only travel so many miles a day.
DPS and game wardens.
And again, it was all the state law enforcement agencies because their fuel budget, that's when fuel was $5 a gallon. So the state mandated that they not be allowed to drive more than 2,000 miles a day or something. I don't remember the number. And we had to use kind of the same tactic here to avoid getting to, because the previous year, the fuel expense was about 30 grand. So now, if they go over budget in 6 months, I don't think that would happen, not with the staff that we have. I don't think they would allow that to happen. But if it did, no, we were not going to shut the police department down. We're going to have to find a way to cover that additional expense and then consider whether the budget, if we're going to increase the budget the next budget year, or are we going to cut something in the police department to make sure that we don't go over the next year. So, and again, those are just things that you kind of have to look at year by year. So
Where do you get the cost of fuel? If you said 22,000, was that for a year, for the year?
that's for the whole year.
Okay, then why does Betsy put on here, and these are actual expenditures, fuel and lubricants, 24,302. For
What page?
2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. That's for 4 years of fuel. It is 22.
No, those numbers are just estimates.
No, these are actual, this is a code from the system, code.
Well, I mean,
So,
actual numbers.
so those are actual numbers.
Yeah, that's true. I'll have to get with her.
But that was back then,
Because the previous.
but that was back then.
Yeah, but he said that he saw where it was 22,000 for that year, and he told him to stop, but it's not what it's saying.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to just, that was what actually I have it on my computer and I can share it. Was numbers that the previous city administrator provided to me as far as their fuel budget. So I'm just kind of going off what she provided to me, so.
I have,
If it's something, it's, go ahead.
before I forget, I would like to, if possible, set up an appointment or a meeting with the code enforcement officer. If we could set up a meeting, and that way we can work something out.
You also have to
Get
get
something going.
our inspector, Ms. Lisa, to also attend that meeting, because our code enforcement needs to work with our inspector. Also, when he's out there, he might see something.
And that way we can get the ball rolling on, see what we need to do. And that way, we can start working on that. And the other, Mayor, what I was going to suggest is that I know that our police department, works with the Crime Stoppers. And then I was texting to see, they also get some funds and it's called, Crime Control and Prevention District. I was wondering, our assistant chief, he, always, anytime that Freer needs any information, the judge, and I work real close. And, she always calls and I'm like the middle person and puts them in contact when the police department has any questions, whatever. But anyway, he's real good about, giving information. And I was thinking maybe two of your council members and Lisa, we could set up an appointment or a meeting, I could go and say a meeting, and maybe, he'll have ideas, about funding, grants and things like that. He can orient y'all, because he also puts a lot of trainings together, and he might, have information on grants out there for funding and things like that.
I think that would be a good idea if, we're gonna move forward, and the council decides to either, whatever they decide as far as to bring in people like that. Again, grants are always great. But most of the grants are kind of reimbursement grants. You spend the money up front,
Right.
and we'll reimburse you if you turn in all the paperwork correctly. So reimbursements can take time. So we can't depend on grants as a whole right off the bat.
But some other funding
You know,
that they're aware of.
we have,
I know, this crime, prevention, I just got an officer from the police department, and they're funding bonuses for him also. So it's something that, whatever resources that are out there, that maybe that they can help out with.
for sure,
It's just a suggestion.
for sure. Yeah.
And I can always set up a meeting with y'all. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So,
How much are we paying to keep a city judge?
What's, it's 3,000 a month is what we're paying, Judge? Is there a
It's
stipend?
18.
18?
Yes.
Oh, that's right, 18.
And
I'm sorry.
I'm in contact with our clerk, on a daily basis. I call to check and she calls me, and so I come in and.
Yeah, there are still legal issues that we need the judge here to address.
And how many secretaries does she have?
No, just one.
She doesn't really have a secretary per se.
It's a clerk.
Patricia's the clerk. She's a city clerk, that
She's a
does
court clerk.
work for the municipal court. So, right now, again, the judge being that she's a contractor, she doesn't really oversee anyone. A clerk is overseen, by Ms. Lisa, and being that, she's the city administrator, and she can use that source as needed, but she does handle all the courts, stuff.
And I've made a lot of changes.
The reason I was asking was how much money are y'all spending to collect the few dollars y'all collected from fines? Is it worth it?
Well, I mean, we have to kind of look at that. I mean, because we don't know. I mean, we don't know those numbers.
We should look into that, don't you think?
Um,
I mean, if you're gonna spend $20 to collect $2, it doesn't make financial sense to me.
well,
Our
again,
collections are,
it's, and I think most of the council up here, and myself included, will say that a police department is not gonna make money for the city, okay? It's just not going to. I mean, if we have an officer that's costing the city $45,000 a year with benefits, salary and benefits, he's gonna have to give a lot of tickets to cover that $45,000 a year.
No point.
However, because we can use those funds, for other, road maintenance and stuff or whatever we can use it for, we'll be able to utilize those funds for doing some other stuff, good stuff for the community. So again, I don't, and I want to make this very clear, I'm not against the police department. My only issue is money, because that's kind of what you guys have entrusted me with, is to make sure that we use our funds and that we maintain our financial, I mean, we're starting to look good to banks now. Unfortunately,
It's gonna take more than $800,000 to live good for banks.
it's gonna take some time, just like, if you go get a loan for a car, you might have, $8,000 in the bank, but for the previous 5 years, you were broke. They might not lend you that money. So, we are in a better position now than we were when I first started, and council has taken steps to remedy that in our budget. And I just don't want to be put in a position where the city is struggling financially after the first few quarters because our tax dollars have already been spent. So it's a lot to look at. It's a lot to consider. We're going to try to put actual numbers together so people can make a good informed decision. So.
Another thing that Lisa could probably work on is, you've got Meadowbrooks Estates, all those houses, I don't know if you've seen, they're built already. So all those houses, and the one Lori Walker that she volunteered herself to be annexed, all those houses were not in the tax roll last year. Well, now this year, they're all gonna be in the tax roll. The other subdivision on Turner, they'll be on the tax roll by 2027. So, but the ones that are over here, you can sort of calculate how many homes are new and weren't on the tax roll. And you're probably looking at about 1,000 each home, 1,000. They probably pay an average about 4,000. The school gets the majority of it, then the city, and then the county. But you might want to consider putting those figures as well.
How many homes is that?
Could you also, while you're getting reports, check with Oscar and see if you remember when we had the police department quarterly, they would give y'all a report of all the calls coming in, all the, whatever they did. Is there a way to get a report like that from Sheriff Rivera to see actually how many calls are they getting?
Well, yeah, well, I can. They're actually kind of working on it. I told them I didn't want, because they use dispatch, right, to put those calls together. I said, I don't want all the citation calls, like that they pulled over a car or whatever, because that can be a lot. So I asked for them if they can, like, just crimes, what is the crime statistics for the city over the last 2 years, and how do they compare to the previous years? There is something online that where you can actually go whenever there's for example, if there's ever a burglary in Odem and the sheriff's department investigators, they have to report that burglary to state or whatever, so they can keep crime statistics. So I think somebody shared some stuff on social media.
Like, we can log into that and look at it?
Yeah.
Look at the post, Eford has some good stuff on it.
Those are crimes like murders, homicides.
No,
They
yeah,
include,
things like that.
include burglaries,
Still, it's, yeah.
so it's
Well,
not.
somebody
no-
drove by
it's-
and shot at Gilbert's sister's house.
Not
They
my
shot
sister.
at, they shot
My
at,
aunt's house.
I mean, his aunt, sorry.
My sister don't drive.
And at,
But I asked Adam, and Adam said he couldn't confirm that it was actually a bullet, because like that was
At my aunt's house.
exactly the,
No,
not
okay,
yours.
we have to.
But the guy at the guy that does my,
Talking about Frankie's situation?
Yeah.
I already had 2 windows busted. The first time I did think it was like a bullet hole or a BB gun, and I was like, who's gonna be shooting my
Doesn't matter,
backyard?
it still
And I
happens.
think what it was when they were mowing the grass,
Hold on,
a
guys.
rock went up and shattered the whole grass. And then I cut my grass again, and same thing happened. Now the middle window is broken from it looks like a bullet
Those are
hole.
gunshots at Updog and Clayton?
according to Raleigh.
According to Updog, he said he can't say.
Well, no, just rents from Raleigh. Raleigh's the owner. He's the owner.
Um,
And again, they don't know. And even if it was a pellet gun, then why do you have people shooting at pellet guns and we allow it? Okay. Is that what you're saying? It doesn't matter if it's a gun or BB gun or whatever.
I think
It's
it's
still
actual data com.
The actual call-ins, like,
They-
No, I just thought
Gilbert,
you were saying it was a gunshot.
Gilbert. Did you call it in?
Yeah, they came out.
Did you call it in?
I
And say
didn't
that
call it,
they're,
it was in my house.
Yeah,
why, she's your sister, and
it's
Yeah,
Amanda.
but I wasn't there when it
It's
happened.
Amanda.
She called the cops and the county came out.
Okay,
Oh,
hold
they
on. Yes, Gilbert.
Isaac, I have a
There
question.
was called in,
Yeah.
and the deputies were here pretty fast, because
Yeah, they were.
one of them, there was actually 2 of them that, again, they responded.
Yeah.
Because I met up with one on my neighborhood, because they were driving through, and I did tell them, yeah, I said, I did hear the gunshots. And I told them what direction I heard them coming from, and they were like speeding around the community trying to find, it's my understanding that the person who shot at it, that they apprehended him. They knew who it was. It was some kind of a
Again, that's too,
personal issue.
that's too,
kind of thing.
like,
So,
out here, we're out,
um,
you're gonna hear gunshots when dove season starts.
well, yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
I
that
hear
kind
that
of
all the time.
situation.
I think some people sometimes when the cotton season is on and the
Yeah.
cotton gin's running, some people sometimes hear noises, they think it's gunshots, but it's just the cotton gin, has its own little noises it makes at night, and they get calls.
So where do we go from here after this meeting? What's the plan? What are we looking at as far as we're
I
gonna
have
do
a,
this?
I have
and
a
not do
question
this?
for Isaac. Isaac, you keep saying that the community wants, but have you looked into, like, we're saying the budget, and you're saying, doesn't matter about the budget, but I want the citizens. I mean, so then it's like up in the air.
No, it's not up in the air for me. I'll tell you exactly.
Okay.
When the mayor first took over and he showed us everything that was going on, I didn't want to let the police department go. I was hoping to downsize it, maybe we can do something. The mayor kept presenting to us that maybe a couple of years, get rid of it, let's kind of start fresh, let's let it go. So I respected him at the time, and I still do. So all the information he was giving us, I supported it. But now the documentation as I'm looking is we can afford something smaller at a smaller scale and manage it. We've learned a lot from the past, at least I have.
I hope so.
And I think if we do things a little bit differently, especially with the funding, like they had their own account and
That's one thing that my concern is that
now
I
with the
wish
judge telling
you would
us,
look
hey,
into
you can do
where
this.
this
you can
grant
do
money
that.
went and stuff
We
like
got
that.
that
and
hundred
look
and
into
twenty-nine
that.
thousand dollars that we talked about, and we got the impound money that the Billy's talking about, and that money's not being used. Maybe all this would be a positive, because according to the judge, we can utilize that in the general fund.
And
So that helps.
the grant money,
Yeah, it might be a plus,
you know.
but that's,
I didn't bother him, and he knows, for a couple of years.
No, I'm not saying, I mean, and that's one thing y'all keep,
But
hey,
once I started.
you got,
looking at-
that's one thing, like I said, y'all weren't here at the first meeting, you know, hey, y'all keep him, yet y'all gotta vote on all this stuff.
Right.
At the final say, it's, hey, he gets to blame because I'm mayor, I'm boss, but y'all vote for all this stuff, you know? So
That's
y'all can't
why-
just throw it out on there.
And that's why I
Y'all gotta-
respected
y'all gotta
him.
realize
When
that.
He brought his recommendation to us.
Yeah.
That's why I respected him and I supported him. And he knows that. He
Oh, yeah.
doesn't take, all I'm saying is that we've all learned a lot. And I think a smaller police department, we can afford it, 150 to 200,000, just to increase security. That's all I'm saying. And at the end of the day, we can't do it, we can't do it.
Yeah.
Then why do we have the police department? Why do we, you know what's sad is that, and my wife brought this to my attention, everybody has a warming center.
As a what?
A warming
Warming
center for
center.
the winter. TAB has a warming center, but we don't. Now, I don't know if we don't because, we don't have the building or we don't have what, but you know what, at the end of the day, hold on, let me finish. At the end of the day, if we're not gonna activate the police department, let's get rid of everything. Why are we paying for it? Let's make the police department to a community center, a citizen center. Let's get rid of the cars, let's get
Sounds
rid of
good.
the ammo.
Sounds good.
Let's get rid of the evidence room, but let's not hang on to it, and let's not sit on the 100 and
Sell it.
whatever thousand monies it is and all that. Let's get rid of it.
We gotta start from scratch.
That's the only reason I asked for a workshop.
The thing about it also is, I mean, if you look at municipalities, and you can even ask a question to any municipality, taxpayer money, what are the three things that taxpayer money pays for? And the three of them, the top three is EMS, which we pay EMS $185,000 a year. And we don't charge them rent. Maybe we should charge them rent. We fund $185,000. They collect all insurances, Medicare, Medicaid, so they make money. We don't make anything. But we give the community that. Fire department, we pay how much? 100 and what thousand? Yeah, it's, well, it used to be 100,000.
So what was it?
Fire department.
It was budgeted for the fire department 75,000.
This past year, but other years, it's gone up to 125, 150. So they're always gonna hit it. The majority of the fires are not that in
Well, it's
town.
gone down.
You know,
Yeah, it's good.
And then you have your police department. I did what Isaac is saying, you know, if we can just work with 150, 200, and just leave it like that. If it only pays for one officer, then so be it. The sheriff's office is always gonna be there. If there's a 911 call, they're not gonna deny you.
Right.
They have to go. Now, I heard the other gentleman, Eric, say DPS is not gonna go in. Well, DPS will go in, they just won't take over the traffic accidents. But that'll be the police department that'll handle that. So. somebody's gotta do it.
If they're qualified.
At midnight, you gotta call them out?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, but if
That's the
they're
way,
qualified,
that's the way,
that's another.
the chief did, is, in the beginning, they would all rotate, different hours, that everybody had different hours, nobody knew, because we didn't have 24/7 coverage. 24 hours, y'all decided, I think, 2022,
Yeah.
that's when it was decided. But, Gerald would send an officer out there to handle that, traffic citation, or traffic incident. So, yes, we would have to do that.
So in 2018, that's when the police department wasn't extended. We didn't have a full police department.
No, we started off with, Gerald was a court enforcer slash, police chief.
And the budget was still $596,000.
That's when, that was the budget, that's when, they were starting to get vehicles and, fix the building. Of course, you gotta do that, you gotta start off. We have. a jail
Can you
cell.
repeat that?
We need somebody external to come do audits and all that stuff, that, you know.
David, could you
follow the
please
money.
repeat that number? 2018, 500,000 for one guy?
I gotta go get out of it.
And we're okay with that? We're not gonna pull back and do these audits and figure out who that
We retake the whole building. We had to add a jail cell. We had to add the court system, their own.
And this is the judge, I didn't know this was a judge, but she's pushing for the police department. I don't know if you're here as a citizen or as the judge, but
So I'm just giving
I think you're advocating for a police department,
I'm
and
just-
I'm a little uncomfortable with that.
I'm just giving information.
Okay.
There was a lot of money that was used to basically, redo the inside of that building because it was just kind of a warehouse. A lot of y'all remember, they had to buy the furniture for the offices, they had to redo, put walls up, and they had to run, IT systems and.
So what was the next year
And they
budget?
had to do everything, so there's total expenditures for that year, according to the report that our previous administrator gave me. Our total expenditures were 467,000.
See, but that's what,
But
did you look at
that was spent
to ask
for-
Jenny if she did that?
for,
Jamie wasn't here too that time.
No, she created something.
no, she created this,
That's what they're blaming her.
this report.
Jamie wasn't here too.
No, she put this report
Oh, for you.
together for me.
Okay.
I want to look at it.
So we're saying 2018 included a lot of expenditures to get it going and running.
Right.
So what was the next year's budget?
There's a piece of paper to tell you. Good, now
Yeah.
okay, look at it real quick. Yeah. Send it back.
The budget that was approved in 2019 was 477,000, but their expenditures were 764,000.
There was no way.
Which I don't know.
I'm sorry. I was-
Yeah, I don't know how that's been. And again, these numbers were given to me, based on a report that was, that the previous administrator put together. So, I know that it's difficult to believe that that kind of money was spent, but when I look at a lot of these numbers here, it really coincides with the money that we had to put into the general fund out of the reserves. But I just don't want to get there again. Now, if the council, and I don't know if there's a way, and I haven't been here long enough to know, if there's a way for the council to pass, if this gets passed, to actually put, whether it's a resolution or something that says that the department won't go over a certain amount of money. And if it does, it has to come before the council for approval. Because, and I don't know if that's something that can be done or not. Put together, like if the council approves it. Go ahead, Ms. Becky.
Okay. I do remember, I'm gonna go back. I do remember when the general ledger was, installed. I was not part of any of that because I was doing billing. But I remember, hearing from Jamie and that when they, finished installing everything, it ended up being, it did not balance $800 plus $1,000. So that general ledger from its inception was off $800,000.
What year was this?
2016-17. That's when it first started. It started in 2016.
That was the
Okay,
last audit, it was 16.
that's right, okay. But after Jamie left, we got, me and, the bookkeeper got permission to go to Lubbock and talk to Encode. Jamie didn't talk to Encode about it. Because they wouldn't do anything for one thing started. And they wouldn't do anything with me over the phone, yeah. But it was off $800,000 and it has never been fixed from that date. So I can't help but feel that these numbers are not accurate because, journal entries were not made to correct anything that went in.
So let me kind of,
couldn't do it, that's why.
Yeah.
It was a big old gap.
It was huge, it was huge.
And Encode couldn't.
Jamie tried, I tried, the bookkeeper tried, working with Encode, and when we went to Lubbock,
so you're saying that there was already a discrepancy in
Absolutely.
2016? There was no police department in 2016.
but the, I'm.
The numbers,
wait a minute,
that- the
wait a minute.
numbers that Ms. Janie provided to me are
I know.
numbers from, so
You're not hearing,
I am. I
no,
mean, you're trying to blame it on
No.
software
well, it
versus,
is.
versus
It
actual
is,
numbers.
Okay, hold on.
Because these
So-
numbers are wrong.
The software is what got the audits.
So let me help you clarify that. So when the mayor brought it to our attention that the police, that we were financially in the hole, he went out and hired a consultant okay? We paid that consultant $65,000. And 1 year, we paid him $2,500 a week for somebody not having money and being in the red, okay? And it's recorded where that consultant sat here and said, there is, I don't believe that there is any money missing. It's just misplaced or not set in the right areas. He said it himself, that meeting is recorded by him, so we have it on tape. He said, I believe the money was just misplaced and not set in the proper buckets the way it should have been. That's what he's talking
Okay,
about.
so where was it misplaced?
It's the way the system was that they were
Way in
talking
the
about.
system. And
So
This
the money
came from
that-
the
There's a
person that,
system called Encode.
this came from the person that was
So where's
hired
the
on
money?
the outside.
It disappeared, or it was never real money?
It got
I
into
mentioned
the
earlier
wrong
about
fund.
$1 million from a guy. that-
So where is it now?
Nothing's been corrected.
So.
But
Ms.
money
Becky-
doesn't, I mean,
Well,
math
money-
doesn't
money's
lie.
still- A lot of money's still sitting at the police, that's what it.
This is why there's no trust though.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So you're saying, hold on, let me just address something with this Becky first. So you're saying that the numbers that Ms., our previous city administrator, and I'm not gonna use her name, and I would ask that you don't use her name either. So she's not here to defend
I
herself.
understand.
That these numbers that she presented, and she said that she presented these to the city council, similar numbers, that these numbers are wrong? You're saying that her calculations are wrong, even though this was done on a spreadsheet based on expenditures, looking at invoices that were paid out that were specific to the police. You kind of put it on somebody
I'm not
else, and
putting
they're
it
not
on
here
her.
to defend themselves.
I'm not putting it on
You know,
her.
the city was at the verge of bankruptcy when I came in. The money went somewhere.
It's fake.
The city was broke, we couldn't, and I think that when we spoke initially, you said that at one point, the balance at the general fund was about $10,000 only. We couldn't even make payroll. They had to go and get reserve funds just to make payroll. So she could say these numbers are wrong, but we have a previous mayor here that has told straight out that the city's bank account, the general funds, had only $10,000 in it at one time. But they put $2 million, $4 million in it in previous years. So I don't see that there was an issue with the system. I think that, and Ms.
You're wrong.
in the previous, no, I'm not saying that the money was missing. I'm not saying, and I said that at the meeting that I had, the money is not missing. We know where the money went into. What we don't know is how it was used and where it went and why the city was in a financial situation that it was in. We know, and I have the bank statements that show that monies were transferred into the general fund, even when Ms. Garza was Councilman Garza was mayor. We see where the money was going, into what pot it was going to. The issue is that where was it going and why was the city in such a financial situation that Councilman Garza at one point only had a $10,000 balance in payroll to be able, it couldn't even make payroll. Our employees, and she will vouch for this, our employees would get their check, go straight to the bank to cash it because they didn't know if there was going to be money there because there was outstanding checks that hadn't cleared yet. So
If that's the case, then why did Jessica go on, and even I will say, that they put it on the agenda, you were the mayor at that time, y'all put it on the agenda to do 24/7 coverage. So when y'all passed the budget, so if that was the case, why didn't Janie say, well, no, we can't afford it because look.
well, according to, and again, let's try not to use names because they're not here to defend themselves. She was adamant that she did tell this council multiple times that we couldn't afford it and that no one listened to her. So, I'm not gonna say whether this person's, right or wrong, but she's not here to defend herself, so I can tell you that when I came in, she and I were working great together. She was doing a lot of stuff to try to get the budget done. She did a lot of work ahead of time. And that individual worked off a spreadsheet. She didn't trust Encode because of the issues when they transferred stuff over. So the numbers that she gave to the council at the time, the numbers that you see in this report, they're not out of income. She actually went pencil and paper and write everything down, look through everything, pull out invoices, put it on pencil and paper, then put it into an Excel spreadsheet so it would show what she was trying to present. She was not using the encode system because she didn't trust it.
Ma'am, and you work
So-
for the city at this time?
City secretary.
I didn't know, I wasn't living here at the time. You worked for the city at the time?
After Jamie left, then,
Again, let's
And you
try
were
not
let
to
go?
use
excuse
things.
me.
And you were let go, if I understand correctly? You were let go, fired? I mean, it's a yes or no
That's-
question.
I mean, I think right now.
Well, there's
it's
a
just-
trust issue, because she's talking about someone who's not here, and.
I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying how the encode was implemented during that time.
Even the counselor.
And then-
But you're saying these numbers are wrong.
But what I'm,
You're saying
what I
these
wanna
numbers
If
are
they
say
were
is,
if they were taken off the general ledger, you're
And
saying
it's wrong.
differently. If they're taken off the general ledger, then they're wrong.
Well, I
Because
don't
the
believe that
general
they're
ledger
wrong.
was wrong.
I don't believe they're wrong.
man,
because
but you said Wednesday, you
I went
didn't
here
attend the meeting because of the Open Meetings Act. You said that on Facebook, but on Saturday, you said you were at church. So I'm having a hard time believing you.
It
So
doesn't matter.
let's
It
just,
does
hold
matter.
on, guys.
It does
We're
matter.
kind of getting, look,
It doesn't
the
matter
issue
if it's
is
the
this.
church or not.
let's just, I will do
Okay.
my best. I will get Miss Lisa and our finance person to try to put together, what we could get for $150,000 to $200,000. Put together a proposal. This is where, for us not to exceed this, I would rather be a lot under 200,000 because it's very easy to go over, and it's not easy to come back. So let's say 150 to 180,000. That gives us some wiggle room. And if they want to approve a budget for 200,000, we can say, okay, well, we have a little 20,000 there we can work with. And then we can hopefully bring it up or email that information out to the council. If it can be done relatively quickly, I don't know, she has to do some research. Even if you guys have to reach out to the previous city administrator to talk to her on the phone about some of the numbers that she had. So you can kind of get an idea of where we can be with that, what Councilman Dominguez is asking for. And if you can put something together, obviously next week's gonna be kind of a short week because of the weather. We don't know when it's gonna pass and people are gonna come back to work. But let's just say that maybe by the March meeting, is that okay? Maybe they can have something so they can, the month of February is kind of a short month anyway. So maybe by the March meeting, you guys will have something together. If you do, we get it to council ahead of time so they can review, and then we can bring it up. What was put together, we can bring it up to get at the March meeting, and then we can decide whether we're gonna move forward or not. I know Councilman Garza, you had something to say.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about Encode, because when it happened, when they switched over, when the city switched over to Encode, what happened was Encode could not get everything, like Becky said, through the ledger. It left some stuff out, and it didn't match with it. But the money was there. The money was there. It's just that Encode, it's making it seem like money's missing, which is not missing. That's because Encode could not put it all in there. And even the guy from Encode had said something about that he needed to come to one of the meetings back then, that he would come to the meeting to explain that. You see, but no money was missing during that time. It was just Encode couldn't get it all in there. And I know that her and the financial person consultant came, no, not the consultant, the employee, they went over there. And even still like that, Encode could still not fix it. They could not fix that issue. You see, and it's not that money was missing.
So does that go back to what the mayor said, that it was spent, but we just don't know where? Is that what you're saying?
Well, all that money, it goes in there.
But where was it spent? Where's it at?
it should be in there, it's just that it's through the ledger, it's all,
Should be
it's all
where, though?
there. But I don't,
What
that's
dollar
the thing,
figure?
that's from 2016, 2017, something like that.
And you can only go back 2 years in code.
And and that's what we kept asking INCO to show us, and INCO could not show it to us. Because it's there, it's just at INCO, it was through INCO. that-
So we still have the money?
No, the INCO, it was, no, there's no money, and there's no money this year, because it's
So
where,
that-
it's where.
So that's what the mayor said, it got spent, but we just don't know how, is that what you kind of said? It went-
INCO
It
cannot,
got distributed?
It's just
The
distributed
the
differently.
difficulties are these. When money was put into, once the budget is done, right?
Right.
If you're gonna make any changes, like if we decide to go move forward on this, we have to amend the budget. We have to put that, we have to get a line item for the police department and for all the, which we already kind of have in place, it's just kind of shut down, we just open them back up. So we have to amend the budget and then approve a new budget. That was never done. Monies were being put into the general fund, from outside sources, whether it be municipal court, impound, reserve funds,
Yeah.
and CDs. They never came back before council to amend the budget for that, and to account for that additional 500,000 or, in some cases, they were transferring 70, 80,000 from the impound into the account. It was never accounted for. So when you put money into a budget and your budget is already $4 million, at the end of the year, you spent $5 million. Well, where did the other $1 million come from? And how was it spent? That is an issue that our CPA has been having since I came on board, is money was put in because he was very specific. When we were looking at it initially, when I came in, we saw a $1.2 million deficit. When I sat down with the CPA, he's like, "Now, David, you guys have like a $3.2 million deficit." He says, "Because there was money put into y'all's budget. I don't know where that money came from. And then it was dispersed out. I don't know where it went. We don't know how it was spent, but he couldn't really find out or find how it was spent because it's been too long, and the papers, I had Miss Becky, she told me that she had boxes for each year while she was here. She had boxes for each year to do the 2016 audit, 2017 audit. So we had her come in and go with me and Miss Elisa, and there are no boxes. So if those boxes had all those invoices for that particular year, which I'm hold on, that's not- it was 2016, 2017.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, so 2016, 2017, those 2 years, right? That's what you were looking for?
I
So-
look for all of them.
So if those invoices that were part of that money that was being pushed in were in those boxes, who knows where those invoices are?
Who was the mayor at that time?
I don't
And
know.
I'm-
I don't know.
it was me, you just told me.
So,
And I might add that, I lost my train of thought, I'll tell you.
so again, the audit, the CPA couldn't account for where that money went
I know what
because
it
there were
was.
no invoices to say, okay, well, we have this check that was paid out for 30,000. Where's the invoice that goes with that check?
Yeah.
I don't know. Now you can go to the bank and you could go back and look. Yeah, you can see all the, like a bank statement, I guess, your bank statement. You can see, but there's nothing to support those expenses on paper. I'm sorry.
Okay, I might add that the previous bookkeeper back at that time did not say general ledger reports, accounts payable reports, and all that kind of stuff. The bookkeeper and I tried to find every bit of that, and we could not find anything, and because it was past 2 years, we could no longer retrieve any information. So that's why I created the boxes, is to try to find.
So what happened to the general ledger that Jim had started to keep everything up to date?
I don't know where that is. And if we had it, I'd have put it in the box, believe me.
So according to
It was there.
Ms. White, she was keeping everything in boxes, separate boxes for audit,
Each year.
for audit purposes for
Each
each year. Well, those boxes aren't
They're
there.
not there.
So if all the paper invoices for those years, they disappeared, I know based what I've heard since I've been here, you know, but again, it's just hearsay from other employees or previous employees. So I don't know.
7 years.
You know, now I can look at the bank statements, which I have,
I thought there was gonna be
I
an
have.
investigation.
you know, look into the.
You
bank
want an
statements.
investigation?
Yes.
Well, let's do it. Let's vote on, let's put it on the agenda and vote for
So-
investigation.
That's true.
So-
I'm all for it.
Do I have to tell y'all I want it on the agenda?
No,
Okay,
I'm already taking care of that.
Okay.
We're still
Okay.
reviewing documents, so, but you can't
it's
review.
probably
it.
past the statute of limitations though.
Not for federal, not for
Oh, okay.
government employees.
Okay.
No.
So, I mean, you can't look into stuff that doesn't exist.
Yeah, I
That's a
know.
problem.
That may be why
So-
people want it. I don't know.
So, let's go ahead and move forward. Do we have any more discussion? I mean, I think I'll get you guys the,
You
I'll
get
get
right.
with Lisa
Look at the
and
numbers.
get with Betsy, get the numbers together, see what we can look at, and then by March, ma'am. So you don't have to rush it, just take your time, get some actual numbers, do some research, and, you know, and then we'll try to address it again in March.
That's why you have these-
All right. I'm sorry, hold on, guys,
Nothing.
hold on.
One of the
We have
things
enough time to
that,
talk.
that I think is very important, Judge, if you can get with, the city administrator and the mayor. And let's talk about that money that's sitting there that we're not utilizing and find the answers out.
Okay,
So we
and I'm
can,
going
we,
to.
yeah, we can start using it if it's available to us.
Yes,
That'll be a big win for us. So
okay,
I see that money coming in, I'm thinking, man,
it just.
hey, it's just sitting there, let's put it to work if
Okay,
all possible, and we can get on that. I think that's priority.
okay,
That's
that's.
money that we'll have.
And I'm also, working with Betsy to build that bridge with the court and the finance, department for accountability.
Well, I think that we're gonna look at, and Ms. Lisa's gonna, because she's worked in the municipal court system in the past, so she's gonna try to get, the other system, shut it out and move the
Into
municipal
Inco.
court into Inco,
Yes,
so we can monitor it as well.
yes.
So, before you guys meet to discuss, what councilman, we need Epi to be there, because he needs to be there to give his legal opinion,
Yes,
on how we can use, my understanding, of course, drug forfeiture money can't be used for anything but drug forfeiture issues, so that $10,000 we can't. Now, the impound funds, according to what I understand from the law, can only be used to either manage or maintain the impound.
No,
If I'm correct,
no.
the council can, like approve those, using those funds for other resources according to what, the way Epi explained it to me. But it's been a while since we've discussed that when I first got elected, because I wanted to know how I could use what was there to try to prop up the general fund. But make sure that you guys include Epi, whether by phone or Zoom or, you
This
know, in
is Texas
person.
local government code. Texas cities can use impound lot revenue for general operations, but typically after covering toll, storage costs, proceeds, first paid, liens of any excess going to the owner or unclaimed after a period like 2 years. To the city's general fund to be used as the council directs, meaning impound fees often support city services. So you can use it for, what code is that? That's, you go to the local government code or just, I'll send it to you. Okay.
Again,
the other thing that I want to share is that if we're going to do summons, we might need to use the constable. We'll put him to work.
I don't know if he's gonna wanna work.
I mean, if I, it might charge us a fee or something,
Unless we
but
bring
I
it
think.
back.
again, you know, let's just make sure that we have our attorney, city attorney on board,
Yes,
so.
so we'll set it up for
There's
the
a
code
understanding.
enforcement, our.
But I have, are you willing to take $20?
Yeah, let's try to do that this month if possible.
Yeah.
February, I'm sorry. Let's see something. Hold on, guys. In February, try to get that together to sit down and talk about, discuss about that, those funds that are still sitting there, what we can do with them, and as well as what we can do going forward. Just some of the stuff you've I've seen you've been writing down stuff, so, just again, take your time, you have the whole month of March, the end of this month. And, we're gonna do our best to try to keep the water running, and I don't have anything to do with electricity, while this, hopefully it says 34, 36. That's not necessarily freezing, so, but I know that I went to Home Depot yesterday and all the plumbers were getting you might not be able to find fittings, at Home Depot right now, so, be safe, don't get on the road if you don't have to. Thank y'all for coming.
Chris Sanchez.
Yeah, we can keep the water running. Okay, yeah.
Yes, sir. You don't want me?
No.
He said he'll do it. All you gotta do is go report.
Sir.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, like I said, that's future money that wasn't in the future. So I think the letter that he's saying, you gotta show, proof that there's gonna be monies. That's a good source right there. You know what I'm saying? So, tax revenue that's new for this coming year. You can always give them the appraisal district, but go to letter books, all that is already full. And then up the hill on Hancock and your sister, all those are out. But some of them, got lucky and they weren't on the tax roll. Go over here, that in 2 years, that's future.
Oh, yeah,
So, I mean, it's there.
I know it's there.
It's
I
there.
know. And